Chapter 45-59. Hearing the words of a group of semi-saints from the Qingyun sect, Fu Liangming seemed to have grasped the last straw, and was so excited that he was about to cry. Qingyun Shengzong is reliable. Something is true. It is not in vain to be attached to it. A few half-saints, for him, dare to challenge the saint. Sacred Qingyun sect. However, what Fu Liangming and a group of half-sages of the Qingyun sect didn't expect was that after hearing the words of the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages, the young man in purple just glanced at the Qingyun sacred sect's group indifferently, and a twitch appeared at the corner of his mouth. Smiling contemptuously, his gaze returned to Fu Liangming. "Give you 3 breaths." Duan Lingtian looked at Fu Liangming, and said as if no one else was there, "Within 3 breaths, if you haven't said who the person who joined forces with you to kill Yi Bansheng. I'll check it myself." As soon as these words came out, Fu Liangming's expression changed drastically. He never expected that the person in front of him would not pay attention to the words of the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages. He is not even afraid of the powerful saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. As for the Qingyun sacred sect and the half-sages, seeing the young man in purple who was suspected to be a saint and powerhouse so arrogant, their expressions became ugly. "Your Excellency, I don't know which faction saint you are," a half-sage of Qingyun's sect asked in a deep voice. Among the remaining half-sages, 2 people have already sent a summons, which was quickly sent back to the Qingyun holy sect. The target of the summons is none other than the saint and powerhouse of the Qingyun sect. This time, most of them came to the Fu family, and they also received orders from the strong saints of the Qingyun sect to come to see what happened on their behalf. Saints and strong men, while powerful, naturally have heirs, and it is impossible to do everything in person. "Your Excellency, I have sent a message to our Saint Patriarch of the Qingyun sect. Your Excellency, the saint and strong man of our Qingyun sect will come soon. Before he comes, please don't act rashly." Fu Liangming. In view of the general environment, this site may be closed at any time. Please move to the permanent source replacement app, Huanyuan app. Org as soon as possible, Your Mightiness. The half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect continued to speak one by one, protecting Fu Liangming. Of course, they might not have a deep friendship with Fu Liangming, but they did everything they could to protect Fu Liangming for Qingyun Shengzong's face. From their point of view, if the other party killed Fu Liangming like no one else after they came out, it would be tantamount to rubbing their faces against the ground with Qingyun Shengzong, which they didn't want to see. Don't allow this to happen. And Fu Liangming, just because he heard their powerful words, within 3 breaths, he confessed that he had joined hands with him to kill the person who killed half-Saint Yi. Snort. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly, and after 3 breaths passed, he didn't bother to continue talking nonsense, and 2 mysterious lights shot out from his eyes, like 2 electric snakes, straight into Fu Liangming's eyes. The next moment. Ah! A shrill scream resounded throughout the world, but Fu Liangming, who was imprisoned in the void in front of him, trembled violently, as if he was suffering from great pain. At this moment, Duan Lingshan's soul force rushed into Fu Liangming's body forcefully. Straight into Fu Liangming's soul. The terrifying soul power made Fu Liangming's soul tremble, and at the same time made Fu Liangming realize a question that horrified him: wrong. Wrong. He's not a saint. The soul power of a saint cannot be so terrifying. It's not that Fu Liangming has never been in touch with saints. He has seen the 2 saints of Qingyun's sacred sect, and even received guidance from them. Even, one of them used the power of his soul to evolve the profound truth of the law to help him practice. However, even the power of that person's soul is completely worthless in front of the power of soul that invaded his body at this time. Even this domineering soul power, after entering his body, entered his soul, causing his soul to shatter in an instant. And his consciousness also wilted in a blink of an eye, even dying like a dying candle. He is definitely an existence above a saint. Is it that Feng Qingyang? Or that Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian. Duan. Could it be that he is the clansman of that Yi semi-sage Duan Yue? With this thought, Fu Liangming's heart was filled with despair. And in this despair, his consciousness was completely obliterated. The originally dull eyes suddenly became dull. The head also suddenly drooped. The breath of life quickly disappeared. Boom! Rumble! Bursts of thunder sounded in the sky, and the clouds that had dissipated originally gathered together again at this moment. The sky, which was originally clearing the clouds to see the sun, fell into darkness again in an instant. Bursts of blood rain poured down from the sky. The shrill howling of ghosts and wolves also rushed into everyone's ears at this moment. And after this horrible vision of heaven and earth appeared, it continued to spread in all directions, causing all parties to shake again. Same day time. Not long after. In the same direction, a similar vision of heaven and earth appeared again. In the rain of blood all over the sky, there seemed to be a bright blue light shining on the sky and the earth, but after a moment of stalemate, it disappeared completely. Another half-saint has fallen. It's still in the same direction as the Fu family. This time, the one who fell was the semi-sage who was good at the law of wind. First, the semi-saint who was good at the laws of the gold system fell, and now a semi-sage who is good at the laws of the wind system has fallen? If I remember correctly, the newly promoted half-sage of the Fu family is good at the laws of the metal system. Another veteran half-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, is good at the laws of the wind system. Hiss dash. God. The two half-saints of the Fu family were killed on the same day, right? The Fu family, who did you offend? As the saying goes, it depends on the owner to beat a dog. If the opponent is so strong, isn't he afraid of offending Qingyun sect? This time, amidst bursts of exclamations, figures began to gather from all directions, gathering around the Fu family's residence. Soon, they saw Fu Liangming whose body was broken into pieces and scattered in the wind. It's Fu Liangming semi-sage. The person who killed him was the young man in purple? Those on the other side seemed to be half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect. At this moment, Duan Lingtian and the Qingyun sacred sect semi-sacred people seemed to be the focus of the crowd who came to watch the excitement. Duan Lingshan's face was calm, his eyes were calm. Just now, through the secret method of the soul, he has extracted from Fu Liangming's soul the memory of the sister Yue who killed him. The general soul secret method can't deal with the strongest. However, the soul secret method he used just now came from the memory of the old man Wukong before the historical partition, and his soul realm completely crushed Fu Liangming, so it was not difficult to use this method on the other party. From Fu Liangming's memory, Duan Lingtian learned that when Duan Yue was killed, there were two other half-sages who joined forces with Fu Liangming. One surname is Han and the other's surname is Tuoba. After the Qingyun sacred sect's half-sages came back to their senses, they were all very angry, and one who looked quite old was even trembling with anger. You actually killed Fu Liangming in front of us. Are you determined to be an enemy of our Qingyun sacred sect? There was a little more questioning in the tone. Before the other half-saints of Qingyun sect had time to condemn Duan Lingtian frowned impatiently and spoke. Crack. He had long been annoyed by the blind-eyed guise of Qingyun sacred sect, but now he was beeping again and again, which made him unable to ignore it anymore. As soon as the impatient voice of quacking came out, it popped out with a finger. In an instant, the void shook. Next moment, the aged half-sage Qingyun sect suddenly froze, and then a blood hole appeared between his eyebrows. Then centering on the blood hole, a storm of space raged, smashing him into powder in an instant. In an instant, the vision of the half-holy fallen into heaven and earth that had not yet dissipated became more and more gloomy. Just because another vision of heaven and earth with a fallen half-saint appeared. The rain of blood, which had been gradually decreasing, poured down again in an instant. Chapter 45-60. There was a dead silence. The people who were bathed in the blood rain looked at Duan Lingtian again, only panic left. This is true even for the remaining half-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect. One by one is like a mouse seeing a cat. Especially one or two half-sages of the Qingyun sect who wanted to scold Duan Lingtian just now, but before they had time to speak, they were all frightened into a cold sweat. Fortunately, I'm not the first to speak. It is conceivable that if they were the first to speak, they must have been killed just now. He dares to kill even the half-saint of the Qingyun sect. In the Fu family's residence, the most powerful members of the Fu family, who were at a loss and even desperate because of the successive fall of the two halves of the family, looked at Duan Lingtian in a daze. Who is this person? It's a bit too domineering, right? Isn't he worried that he will usher in the wrath of the saint of Qingyun sect? Those who were also frightened by the scene in front of them, as well as a group of people who rushed over to watch the excitement, felt their scalps go numb at this moment, thinking that this young man in purple was too courageous. If he doesn't have a strong background, I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to bear the anger of Qingyun sect this time. Yes, although he is a saint, there are two saints in Qingyun holy sect. One of them is the top saint who became famous in the world and even the world many years ago. Qingyun Shengzong sighed. Along with several semi-sages who went to Fu's house, they came back with a summons and asked the saints to take action. One of the saints set off soon. However, not long after he left. Within the Qingyun sacred sect, a soul card shattered, causing a great commotion among the senior leaders of the Qingyun sacred sect. Elder Crane Fox has fallen. Elder Hahu, didn't you just go to the Fu family with a few others? Could it be that the saint who killed the semi-saint of the Fu family was killed together? It's okay to kill the half-sage of the Fu family, but dare to kill the half-sage of our Qingyun sacred sect? A saint of which force, is this trying to start a war with our Qingyun sacred sect? The killing of the Qingyun sect's half-sage shocked the Qingyun sect, and at the same time made another sage of the Qingyun sect unable to sit still. This saint of the Qingyun sacred sect has always been an existence that never sees the end of the dragon in the past, either in retreat or on the way to retreat. A novel app that has been running stably for many years, comparable to the old version of the book-chasing artifact, the source-changing app used by old bookworms, Huanyuan app. Org, however, because of the appearance of the Tian Tower some time ago, he saw the hope of stepping into the Xian 7th level, so that he did not continue to retreat. During this time, he was also thinking of various ways, how to enter the Tongtian Tower. The current Tongtian Tower is guarded by Feng Qingyang, the first strongest 7th level powerhouse since the history was cut off, and the other party said that anyone who wants to enter the Tongtian Tower will undoubtedly die. Unexpectedly, before he could think of a solution, the backyard of his home caught fire first. A half-saint of Qingyun sect was killed. Crane Fox. This semi-sacred man is still his nephew, and the other party's achievements today are inseparable from his many times of help over the years. I want to see which saint of power dares to indiscriminately kill people from my Qingyun sacred sect. Wearing a light gray robe, the tall old man with white hair and childlike face had a cold light in his eyes. He disappeared in the same place in an instant, and when he reappeared, he had caught up with another saint who had just left not long ago. "Uncle, why are you here?" The saint who set off first from the Qingyun sacred sect, a middle-aged man, couldn't help being startled when he saw the old man chasing him. "The Crane Fox is dead," the old man said in a cold tone. "Junior brother Crane Fox?" The face of the middle-aged man changed drastically, but he knew that, together with the other semi-sages of Qingyun sect, the one who set off for the Fu family first was that junior brother Hahu. Now, he is dead. It goes without saying who killed it. Is he so courageous? How dare he even kill the half-saint of our Qingyun sect? The middle-aged man's tone was low, and his eyes were full of anger. Snort dash. The old man snorted coldly, his eyes were full of murderous intent. No matter what force is behind him, if he dares to kill someone from Qingyun sect, he will pay the price this time. Walk. Come with me to meet him. The two saints rushed at full speed, and it didn't take long to arrive near the Fu family's residence. Even before showing up at the scene, the middle-aged saint had already made a move from the air, and the terrifying power traversed the sky, passed through the unabated rain of blood, and swept across the entire Fu family's residence. Sweeping out at the same time, there is also a majestic and vast spiritual consciousness. The strength of this spiritual consciousness, once enveloped, almost everyone felt a great pressure in the air above the Fu family's residence, and even in the vicinity. It was like a towering mountain was pressing on him. Saint consciousness? There are many powerful people in the Fu family, their eyes flashed suddenly. At this moment, they all guessed where the master of this consciousness came from. It must be from Qingyun Shengzong. The saint and strong man of Qingyun sect is here. Today, you may have the opportunity to witness a battle between saints. A group of people who came to watch the fun showed anticipation in their eyes. And the few remaining half-sages of Qingyun's sacred sect finally breathed a sigh of relief after realizing this divine sense. At this moment, they have a sense of security. Before that, they were all worried that the purple-clothed youth would do nothing but kill them all. But fortunately, the other party didn't move too much, just stood there with eyes closed and rested. Now, Duan Lingtian already knew who the other two half-sages who killed his sister Yue were, but they were not in a hurry to find each other. After all, the other party may not be in their lair yet. Through Fu Liangming's memory, he also knew that Fu Liangming had never seen those two people since he killed Duan Yue. Sacred Qingyun sect. After killing the half-sage of the Qingyun sect, Duan Lingtian naturally knew that the saint of the Qingyun sect would show up soon after hearing the whispers of everyone present. Qingyun Shengzong is an existence as famous as the Bibo Tianfu where he used to be. The saint inside is extremely powerful, and he was an unrivaled existence in the eyes of him in the past, but he is nothing in front of him now. It's possible for Qingyun Shengzong to capture those two people and bring them to me. From Duan Lingshan's point of view, those two were also half-sages of the subsidiary forces of the Qingyun sect, and it was only appropriate for the Qingyun sect to arrest them. As for whether Qingyun Shengzong listened or not. Dare to be disobedient? Suddenly, Duan Lingtian seemed to have noticed something, raised his brows. There are two saints here? The moment Duan Lingtian thought this together, all the semi-sages present also sensed the second powerful divine sense, which swept across the Fu family's residence in a blink of an eye. The two saints of the Qingyun sect come out together? It seems that Qingyun Shengzong is really angry this time. Everyone was in an uproar. Everyone present had already guessed that Qingyun holy sect would come with saints, but the arrival of two saints still surprised many people. Some people even showed anticipation in their eyes. I really didn't expect that the ancestor of the Qingyun sect, who has always been a dragon but never sees the tail, is here this time. I have never seen his true face. At the same time as the second divine sense swept over, an aged and deep voice resounded at the right time. Which force do you come from? Kill me, Qingyun sacred sect's half-sage. Kill my Qingyun sacred sect subordinate force, half-sacred. Are you trying to make an enemy of my Qingyun sacred sect? Chapter 45-61. Wearing a light gray robe, the tall, white-haired old man with a childlike face, was filled with a monstrous anger at this moment on his face that was considered kind at first. Qingyun sacred sect is where he stayed for most of his life. Ever since his master brought him back to Qingyun sacred sect, he has never seen anyone who dared to kill the Qingyun sacred sect semi-sage indiscriminately and provoke Qingyun sacred sect. Although the semi-saint is not the most powerful existence in the Qingyun sacred sect, it is also one of the top existences, second only to the saint. Although Qingyun Shengzong is a saint force, for many years, there have been at most 2 saints at the same time, never more than 3, and often only 1. It is also because of this that the semi-sacred, placed in the Qingyun sacred sect, is definitely a pillar existence. And today, in the area of Qingyun sacred sect, not only the half-sacred forces protected by Qingyun sacred sect were killed 2 half-sages in a row, even one of their half-sages who went out from Qingyun sacred sect died. Don't say that since I entered the Qingyun sect, this kind of thing has never happened in the Qingyun sect area. Even in the ancient history of the Qingyun sect, this kind of thing has never happened. He now feels that if he has no hope of stepping into the 7th stage of the Supreme Realm, and falls under the Supreme Tribulation in the future, he will have no face to face the ancestors of the Qingyun sacred sect. I've never seen Master Uncle lose his composure like this, angry. The middle-aged man who barely followed behind looked at the back of the old man in front of him, and it was not difficult to feel the terrifying aura emanating from the old man at this time, as well as the terrible anger and killing intent contained in it. He knew that his uncle, who was always kind in front of people, was really angry this time. However, he can also understand. Even him, the anger is soaring at this time. If the other party is a saint, if they kill the semi-sages of the semi-sacred force under the Qingyun sect, as long as the other party is willing to cooperate and do some superficial work afterwards, it will be over. After all, no matter if it is a saint from the outside world or the most powerful person from the myriad worlds, they are all extremely powerful existences. If they cannot be killed and escaped by them, it will undoubtedly be a disaster for their Qingyun sect. The other party is hiding in the dark, ready to attack their Qingyun sacred sect members at any time. It is impossible for the members of Qingyun Shengzong to hide in the sect all the time. As for him and his uncle, although they are not afraid of each other, it is impossible to protect the other members of the Qingyun sect at all times. An unknown powerhouse, even for saints like them, should not be easily provoked, unless he can kill the opponent once and for all. Greetings to Master Uncle. Greetings to Master Uncle. Welcome Master Uncle, senior brother. When the old man and the middle-aged man appeared above the Fu family's residence, the remaining half-sages of the Qingyun sect finally breathed a sigh of relief after seeing them. Greeting respectfully, he stepped out of the air, and landed behind the old man and the middle-aged man in a blink of an eye. It wasn't until this moment that they truly let go of their suspended hearts. Only because, at this moment, they are safe. Before that, if that powerful saint of unknown origin attacked them, even if they joined forces, it would be difficult to resist. After all, although there is only one realm apart between a semi-saint and a saint, the gap in strength is too great. I am Guolin of the Qingyun sect, and the person next to me is my uncle Xiaofan. The middle-aged man took a step forward and looked at the purple-clothed youth standing in the void in front of him. His face was gloomy, his eyes were full of anger, and his spiritual consciousness swept out of him, pressing on the opponent's body. 2 saints. Facing Guolin's consciousness, Duan Lingtian didn't feel oppressed at all, and even felt as if a gust of wind had blown his cheeks and body. If in the past, the sage in the outer world was comparable to the 6th-level existence of the strongest in all worlds, to him, he was like a high-ranking god, unrivaled, and even the opponent's snap of a finger was enough to wipe him out. And now, a saint, in his eyes, is nothing. However, even so, he is still eager to try, wanting to feel his own strength and the gap between them and them through the saints of the Qingyun sect in front of him. At the same time, the group of people who gathered to watch the excitement also retreated one after another after the 2 saints of the Qingyun sect arrived at the scene, and retreated to a very far place. I am deeply afraid that the war that may unfold next will affect them and Qiyu. Saint. That was the existence of the combat power ceiling in places outside the realm in the past, and even in the myriad realms. Even now, there is an existence beyond the saint-born, but only two people. The saint is still a place outside the world, the existence closest to the ceiling in the world. The two saints of Qingyun sect. I didn't expect Senior Xiaoani to be really alive. Senior Xiaoani, in the past, he was a peerless genius who was famous outside the world. He stepped into the realm of saints a long time ago. He is a group of saints recognized as the strongest outside the world. Master Guolin is not bad. Although he only stepped into the realm of saints a few years ago, he is still a saint. In front of saints, half-saints are like chickens and dogs, vulnerable to a single blow. Yes, otherwise, how could this purple-clothed saint kill 3 half-sages in a short period of time? I don't know where this purple-clothed saint comes from. 9 out of 10 are from the 10,000 realms. The saints in the land outside the realm should all know each other, but listening to what Senior Xiaoani said just now, it is obvious don't know each other. At this time, a group of people watching from afar looked at the purple figure in the distance, and there was another burst of discussion and whispering. Not just them. Even the members of the Qingyun sacred sect present, including the 2 great saints, basically felt the same way. Which realm of the myriad realms are you the strongest? Guolin stared at the purple-clothed youth in front of him, and asked in a deep voice, if you don't give us Qingyun Shengzong a satisfactory explanation for today's matter, I'm afraid it will be difficult to retreat unscathed. As his voice fell, the old man beside him, his spiritual consciousness further raged out, covering a large area around him in a blink of an eye, as if he wanted to seal off the surrounding area, preventing the other party from having a chance to escape. Facing the menacing Guolin, Duan Lingshan's calm expression finally changed slightly. He smiled calmly and stared at Guolin, then I would like to see how you make it difficult for me to retreat. His words were like a fuse, which completely ignited Guolin's anger. Then I'll let you see it. As soon as the words fell, Guolin's momentum shook, and the most powerful force swept all directions, and the fiery breath permeated in an instant, but it was he who showed the law of fire in the realm of Dzogchen. In his hand, there was also a knife at the same time. The whole body of the knife was red, exuding endless heat waves. It was not known whether it was due to the material of the blade or the law of fire that Guolin had comprehended. Around Guolin's body, the space oscillated, and the terrifying power even made the semi-sages of the Qingyun sect not far behind look dignified, and retreated a certain distance in unison. Only the old man beside him didn't move at all, as if the power in Guolin's body didn't pose any threat to him. And in fact, it is true. Although Guolin has stepped into the realm of a saint, his strength is not much weaker than him. However, after all, he has been immersed in the realm of saints for many years, and in terms of strength, he is still better than Guolin. Even if I haven't seen a few of the world-venerated powerhouses of the myriad realms, I've heard of them. Unless he is a newcomer to the 10,000 realms, or a new saint from a place outside the realm. Otherwise, as long as he makes a move, I will know who he is. Xiaoani didn't plan to fight with Guolin, but just stood in place and swept the formation for Guolin. In his view, even if Guolin's strength is inferior to the opponent's, he won't be at a disadvantage in a short period of time, let alone lose. As a saint, even if it is a new saint, it is not an easy task for him, a veteran saint, to defeat him, at least it is impossible to achieve within 100 moves. Wow! Crash! Guolin moved, and the whole person came out holding the knife, like a flaming sword god, flitting across the void, using the law of the fire system of the Dzogchen realm as the main, and the sword way of the 4 ways of heaven and earth as a supplement, and killed Duan Lingtian. Even, in order to let the other party know how powerful he is, in his body, the blood power belonging to the aborigines of the outside world is constantly sweeping up. People from all over the world have laws and clones. The aborigines of the outside world also have the power of blood as an aid. Even a saint, under the blessing of the power of the bloodline, his strength will be raised to a higher level, because the power of the bloodline is generally assisted to improve on the original basis. The stronger the people from the outside world, the greater the power of the bloodline will improve their power. Roar dash. Roar dash. The howls of beasts that shook heaven and earth vibrated in the void, as if resounding between heaven and earth, but when the power of the blood in Guolin's body came out, a burst of blood suddenly surged on his body, turning into a blood tiger phantom. Just like the blessing of Dharma, once it appeared, it made Guolin's earth-shattering aura further skyrocket. You try to pick me up first. Guolin yelled violently, and the knife in his hand swiped out in a blink of an eye, as if pulling all the power of the flames between heaven and earth, and slashed towards Duan Lingshan's place. When the knife was swung, the sky and the earth changed color, and the fire seemed to color the whole world. The phantom of the blood tiger on Guolin's body became even bigger, as if it had turned into an indomitable beast god. Roar dash. The roar of the blood tiger suddenly became louder. Hum. The sword light that seemed to have eyes circled an arc in the void and swept towards Duan Lingtian. Even if Daomang didn't target the group of onlookers present, except for some semi-saints, the existences under the semi-saints were all forced back again and again by the terrifying aura extended by Daoguang, too strong. This is the strength of a saint. Under the watchful eyes of everyone, wherever the sword light passed, the space continued to crack, as if the end was approaching. Chapter 45-62. Guolin, in the Qingyun sacred sect, is the number 2 person after Zhao Ani. As a saint, he used his own strength to protect the Qingyun sacred sect when Zhao Ani was usually in seclusion. Although many people thought in the past that even if he stepped into the realm of a saint, his strength was still inferior to Zhao Ani. However, today, following Guolin's move, he taught the onlookers a hard lesson. Even if Guolin is not as strong as Zhao Ani, his strength is far beyond that of a half-saint. Hum. It made the sky and the earth change color, as if the earth-shattering flame blade, tearing through the space all the way, approached Duan Lingtian in an instant, and was about to hit Duan Lingtian. At this moment, Duan Lingtian still didn't see any signs of making a move. What is he doing? It can't be that you were scared stupid, right? It's definitely impossible. As a saint, even if he's not as strong as Senior Zhao Ani, he's still not as good as Lord Guolin. The onlookers burst into excitement. You, just this little strength? A calm voice sounded. But Duan Lingtian spoke in a contemptuous tone. At the same time as he opened his mouth, he saw the space around him vibrate and fold like ripples, and then the sharp sword energy spread across and across, killing all directions. Stop. 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 The overwhelming sword glow instantly condensed into a human form in the void, turning into a giant. Then, with a big palm, the giant slapped the menacing flaming blade that seemed to split Duan Lingtian in two. The next moment. Boom! There was a loud noise, and there was no aftermath of power raging, only to see the giant's palm fall, and that hand, which was completely condensed from the sword glow, annihilated the flame sword glow in an instant. It was like a small ray of flame being extinguished by someone casually. The next moment, as the giant closed his hand and stopped making any movements, the surrounding space cracks that appeared due to the giant's attack and the passing of the flame blade gradually closed. After the storm, there was peace and calm. How can it be? After a moment of dead silence, Guolin spoke first, his tone full of shock and disbelief. Then, he shot again. Hum. It was still that kind of flaming sword glow, which was more powerful than the previous flame sword glow, killing Duan Lingtian. Boom. It's a pity that he still followed in the footsteps of the previous flaming sword light, and was slapped away by the giant. This. How can this be? So outrageous? Even Senior Zhao Ani doesn't have such terrifying strength, does he? A group of people watching in the distance also came back to their senses one after another at this time. Their faces were horrified, and many of them stared wide-eyed, as if they had seen a ghost. The semi-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect also looked at each other at this time, and they all saw shock and inconceivability in each other's eyes. Even Zhao Ani. At this moment, the anger towards Duan Lingtian on his face has disappeared, replaced by shock and panic. At the same time, a terrifying divine consciousness swept out from the purple-clothed youth in his vision, instantly crushing the divine consciousness extended by him and Guolin as saints. Puff dash. Guolin was unprepared, he vomited blood on the spot, his complexion was as pale as paper, as if he had been backlashed by divine consciousness. Zhao Ani, the number one member of the Qingyun sacred sect, and a veteran saint with a reputation resounding all over the world, his complexion was also turning blue and white at this time, the blood in his body was shaking, and his soul was trembling. Guolin shuddered, came back to his senses, and when he looked at Duan Lingtian again, his eyes were full of panic and uneasiness, as if a child who had done something wrong saw his parents. Just because he thought of one thing, at the same time. Zhao Ani had already bowed to Duan Lingtian at 90 degrees and bowed to Duan Lingtian from the air. When he spoke again, his tone seemed a little more trembling. Greetings. Greetings to Lord Duan Lingtian. Lord Duan Lingtian. As soon as Zhao Ani finished speaking, Guolin finally came back to his senses, his complexion turned paler, and he bowed his hands tremblingly. Guolin, pay homage to Lord Duan Lingtian. I didn't know your identity just now, and I offended you, please forgive me. In fact, Guolin also reacted just now. To be able to have such terrifying strength, to crush his full strength with one blow, and even his spiritual consciousness can easily defeat the spiritual consciousness of him and his uncle, except for the two existences who surpassed saints and world-respected realms that appeared some time ago. Who else? Feng Qingyang. When he and his uncle went to Tongtian Pagoda last time, they had already seen each other and recognized each other, and they were not the same person as the person in front of them. Well, the answer is obvious. The person in front of me is another existence who has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, Duan Lingtian. Even, this one is more terrifying than Feng Qingyang. Feng Qingyang, with the cultivation base of the middle god, comprehend the law to the state of great perfection, and comprehend the way of swordsmanship to the 7th level, with the cultivation base of the middle god, overcome the taboo realm. The taboo situation faced by the middle-level god, if replaced by another middle level who also comprehends the law and swordsmanship to the point where the wind is light, 9 out of 10 can easily overcome it. And like Duan Lingtian, the high-ranking gods cultivated to survive the taboo realm, based on the calculations of these saints, even if they had Duan Lingshan's conditions when they were in the high-ranking gods, they could face the forbidden realm heavenly tribulation. There is not much confidence in successfully crossing the tribulation. Duan Lingtian? It's Lord Duan Lingtian who stepped into the 7th stage of Xian through the announcement of the heavenly Tao some time ago? This is Lord Duan Lingtian. Damn it! No wonder it's so terrifying. He defeated Master Guolin's attack in a matter of seconds, and injured Master Guolin with his spiritual consciousness in an instant. A group of people watching from a distance, although far apart, but with their cultivation level, they still clearly listened to the words of Zhao Ani and Guolin. Because of this, they all responded one after another. Unanimously remembered, some time ago, what they saw was the words of heaven that could be seen by the land outside the world, and even all life in the world. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jiezuan and saints. After the history is cut off, the existence of the second Xian of the 7th order. Existence above saints and realms. He is Duan Lingtian. The survivors of the Fu family all showed despair at this time. They never dreamed that this person who broke into their Fu family and killed the two half-sages of the Fu family one after another turned out to be the one who stepped into the Xion's first place some time ago. Duan Lingtian of the 7th level. This is an existence above the saint. At any rate, they are people of the semi-holy power, and they have naturally heard that the Tian Tian pagoda where the way of heaven descended is now guarded by another existence of the 7th level strongest, and no saints or world-venerated powerhouses are allowed to enter. In the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, there are still many saints and world-venerated powerhouses. But to this day, I have never heard that these existences united to deal with Feng Qingyang and fight for the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower. What does this mean? It means that they are afraid of the wind. It shows that they feel that even if they join forces with each other, they may not necessarily be Feng Qingyang's opponents. Of course, it's also possible that they don't want to be that early bird, and they are worried that even if they defeat Feng Qingyang, they will become a victim during the match. With cultivation at their level, it is naturally impossible to take risks and die easily. Unless you are desperate. For example, there is no certainty about the next Xion's catastrophe. However, even if such people are willing to fight, their number is limited after all, and they themselves know that it is difficult to make a big deal in front of Feng Qingyang. Therefore, to this day, everyone is honest and obedient. I'd rather wait a while longer. They all felt that it was impossible for Feng Qingyang to stay there forever. Duan Lingtian? The demi-sages of the Qingyun sacred sect were also pale at this time. They never expected that the person in front of them was the strong man who was already famous outside the world and even in the world, Duan Lingtian. Hubai is dead. At this moment, they also realized that the semi-holy crane fox who came with them was dead for nothing. Facing the saint, Qingyun Shengzong can still stand up for Hahu. But facing the existence above the saint, even with the power of the Qingyun sect, not only can't do anything, but will be counter-killed. Qingyun Shengzong is destined to admit defeat. Didn't you see that the two saints and powerhouses of Qingyun sect have already bowed their heads? Greetings to Lord Duan Lingtian. Greetings to Lord Duan Lingtian. Following the Qingyun sacred sect semi-sages taking the lead, the rest of the Fu family and a group of people who came to join in the fun all opened their mouths to salute Duan Lingtian. The tone is full of awe. How do you know him, Duan Lingtian? Duan Lingtian glanced at Xiaofan in surprise. After all, it was announced by the heavenly Tao some time ago that besides him, there is also his master, Feng Qingyang, who has stepped into the 7th level of Xion. Master Duan Lingtian, I was fortunate enough to meet Lord Feng Qingyang on the side of Tongtian Tower. Zhao Ani responded repeatedly. When Duan Lingtian heard the words, he suddenly realized that he had forgotten about it. Before he came to the land outside the world this time, he also heard from the people who defied the gods that his master Feng Qingyang was guarding the Tongtian Tower, preventing people from outside the world from being exposed. The sages and venerables of the earth and myriad worlds enter. Obviously. This saint of the Qingyun sect has already been near the Tongtian pagoda and has seen his master Feng Qingyang. Master. Thinking of his master again, Duan Lingtian couldn't help feeling a little excited in the depths of his eyes. When things are over here, let's go see the master first. Speaking of which, I haven't seen master for a long time. He also never expected that his master would walk in front of him and step into the 7th level of Xion first. Master Duan Lingtian, it was I, Guo Lin, who did not know Mount Tai and offended you. Seeing that Duan Lingtian ignored him, Guo Lin panicked again. If your lord insists on taking my life, I, Guo Lin, have nothing to say, but please let Qingyun Shengzong go, this matter has nothing to do with them. Chapter 45-63. If it were in the past, Guo Lin would never have dreamed that he, who had stepped into the realm of a saint, would one day bow his head in fear and beg for mercy in front of someone. The saint, in the past, stood outside the world, even the existence at the pinnacle of the myriad worlds, an existence like a ceiling. So high above you, so mighty. Overlook all beings and be invincible in the world. However, all of this, with the appearance of the existence announced by the Tao of Heaven after the two of them passed through the taboo realm of catastrophe and stepped into the 7th level of the strongest, it has completely changed. Big change. In the past, the high-ranking saints and world venerables, the gap that they could not bridge, was crossed by two newcomers later, and they walked ahead of them without warning, which made them unexpected. It's too late when you know it, and you can't stop it. Normal people, who have stood at the top for a long time, who would want someone to overwhelm them? Not to mention those saints and Jesuan who have stood at the peak for a long time, it is Feng Qingyang who dared to step into the 7th level of Xi'an not long ago. Why do they guard the side of Tongtian Tower and prevent people from entering it? Don't you want them to take a shortcut and catch up with him? If the sages and world venerables in the land outside the world and the world had known that those two rising stars would walk ahead of them and become the first and second existence of the 7th level strongest after the history was cut off, they would definitely not hesitate. Obstruct the other party at all costs, even at the expense of strangling the other party in the cradle. And now, it's too late. For the two opponents, the general trend has come. For example, Duan Lingtian in front of him, as one of them, easily crushed his full blow with every move, and made his heart tremble, realizing the horror of the 7th level, the gap is really too big. That was the gap that made him almost desperate. With such an existence, it was easy to kill him, and killing his uncle Xiaofan was just a matter of gestures, and killing Qingyun's sacred sect was also simple. For Qingyun Shengzong, he bowed his head. There is only hope deep in my heart, without the slightest humiliation. Because, in front of the other party, there is no need to feel humiliated. Any saint or Jesuan would also be powerless in front of the other party. Master Duan Lingtian. Before Duan Lingtian could speak, Xiaofan, who was standing by the side, also said pleadingly, "This time, if you can forgive Guolin, forgive Qingyun sacred sect. From now on, Qingyun sacred sect, I hope that you, my lord, will follow suit." As the first member of Qingyun sacred sect, he spoke up. Of course, there is no reluctance. Because he knew in his heart that with such an existence, even if Qingyun Shengzong hadn't provoked the other party this time, if the other party really wanted to subdue Qingyun Shengzong could only accept his fate and had no second choice. Several semi-saints of the Qingyun sect who were standing not far away had their hearts hanging at this moment, fearing that the young man in purple in front of him would kill them and destroy the Qingyun sect in a fit of anger. They're dead. But their family members and disciples are still in the sect. For a moment, their hearts were filled with apprehension. And a little helpless. As for the survivors of the Fu family, when they saw the two saints of the Qingyun sect begging for mercy in front of each other, their faces turned pale from fright, and they hurriedly knelt down on the ground and begged for mercy. "My lord, Duan Lingtian, please forgive me, please forgive me. My lord, spare me, I am willing to leave the Fu family. My lord, although my father is a member of the Fu family, he is already dead. I am willing to sever the father-son relationship with him, change my surname from now on, and no longer call myself the Fu family." The group of people who rushed over to join in the fun were also greatly shocked at this time. Although, they had long guessed that the strong man who could make Tiandao publicize the Tiandao characters, at that time was definitely not an ordinary person, but they did not expect it to be so terrifying. Saints, in front of him, are like chickens and dogs, vulnerable to a single blow. The gap is too big. It's outrageous. It's too strong. If I can have his strength in my lifetime, even if I have to die in a few days, I will be willing. It is even more so secretly in a person's heart. At this moment, Duan Lingtian, who was dressed in purple and stood floating, seemed to have become the master of the lives of all living beings. With a single word, he could determine the life and death of saints, and even the power of saints. In full view. Duan Lingtian glanced at Zhao Ani and Guolin indifferently, and said in a calm tone, "Today's matter, if you want to expose it, it's not impossible." Hearing this, Zhao Ani and Guolin were both shocked, and their faces showed surprise. "In 3 months' time, I will go to Qingyun's sacred sect in person, and then I hope to see these two people." Speaking of this, Duan Lingshan's spiritual consciousness extended out, and in the form of a soul picture, he passed on the appearances of the other two half-sages who jointly killed Yuye's half-sage Duan Yue with the Fu family's half-sage back then, and passed them on to them. Both names are attached. Han Jiang. Tuobo Liancheng. They are all half-sages in the area of Qingyun's sacred sect. Even if the two of them don't know each other, it is impossible for the other half-sages of Qingyun's sacred sect to know each other. If you catch them at that time, I will not pursue today's matter. If one person is missing. Snort dash. Although he didn't say much, the threatening tone in his tone made Zhao Ani and Guolin terrified, and they didn't dare to neglect in their hearts. After the voice fell, Duan Lingshan's figure flickered, and he left the sight of everyone present, as if he disappeared out of thin air. Although, through the memory of Fu Yongming, the semi-sage of the Fu family, he also knew where the two semi-sages usually practiced, but one of them was a casual cultivator and was often away from the training ground. Now that there are two errand runners sent up, he doesn't bother to look for them one by one. 3 months later, just go to Qingyun's sacred sect to face the two half-sages directly. At that time, it can be regarded as complete revenge for his sister Yue. After Duan Lingtian left, Zhao Ani, Guolin, and the half-saints of the Qingyun sect immediately breathed a sigh of relief. The rest of the Fu family also looked like they had survived the catastrophe. Master Duan Lingtian, let the two saints of Qingyun sect help him find someone. Who are you looking for? Is there anyone else who dares to offend Lord Duan Lingtian? A group of people who joined in the fun were discussing and whispering at this time. Of course, there are also some smart people among them. Master Duan Lingtian, the two people who are looking for are probably related to the half-sage of the Fu family. After all, he appeared here this time because he took the initiative to deal with the half-sage of the Fu family. The Fu family obviously offended him. To be precise, it was the half-saint of the Fu family who offended him. After all, the other party has left now and has not done anything to the rest of the Fu family, so it is not difficult to guess something from this. At the same time, several semi-sages of Qingyun sacred sect also left with Zhao Ani and Guolin. Han Jiang. Tuobo Liancheng. Uncle, you said he asked us to find these two people, why? Guolin sent a voice transmission to ask Zhao Ani. Now, he hasn't recovered from the panic just now, his mind is full of blood, but he deeply remembers who Duan Lingtian asked him to find. He is no stranger to Han Jiang and Tuobo Liancheng. One of them is the most powerful Han family of the semi-sacred force under their Qingyun sacred sect, the only semi-sacred of the Han family, and he has met him several times. The other person, although he has nothing to do with their Qingyun sacred sect, is also a well-known casual cultivator in their Qingyun sacred sect area. Although he has never met him, he has heard of him. If I'm not wrong, it should be that these two people, like the two half-sages of the Fu family, have offended that one. Zhao Ani was much calmer than Guolin. Thinking of the other party appearing in their Qingyun sacred sect area, the first thing he did was to kill the two half-sages of the Fu family. Obviously, this was unlikely to be a whim. They are so courageous, dare to offend such a terrible person? Guolin was taken aback. Hearing Guolin's words, Zhao Ani said angrily, "Don't forget, that person stepped into the most powerful realm not long ago. The text of the Tao of Heaven, the first time it was announced, made him famous outside the world, and in the world, he was still a high-ranking god. That one has been away for so long, and you haven't recovered from the shock just now?" Zhao Ani seemed a little speechless. Guolin was stunned again when he heard this, and then smiled awkwardly. I really haven't recovered. The main reason is that I really thought I was going to be killed just now. I'm not afraid of my uncle's jokes. That was the first time I was so desperate in my life. Even before I joined the sect, I was in danger of life and death, but I have never been so desperate. To become a saint, Guolin is naturally not an ordinary person, and his temperament is not bad at ordinary times. But this time, it was indeed that the opponent's strength was too terrifying, which frightened him a lot, yes. A few years ago, the first time the text of the Tao of Heaven appeared, it was publicized to the quartet, saying that he had survived the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity with the cultivation base of a high-ranking god, and he was the first one to overcome the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the history was cut off. Figure. Guolin completely remembered. It must be the semi-sage of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuoba Liancheng, who offended him when he was just a high-ranking deity. Zhao Ani guessed and said, not long after he stepped into the Xian 7th level, he came to our side, went to the Fu family, and killed 2 half-sages in a row, which shows how much he hates the half-sages of the Fu family. If he had known earlier that the people of the Fu family had offended him, and that he was the one who killed the semi-sage of the Fu family, there would be no need for us Qingyun sect to stand up for it. It's a pity, Crane Fox. The semi-sacred Hahu of the Qingyun sect who was killed by Duan Lingtian was also Zhao Enya's nephew. Humph. Those 2 from the Fu family, Han Jiang and Tuoba Liancheng, are really trash. A flash of contempt and disdain flashed in Guolin's eyes. A high-ranking deity can survive under their noses, and even has such achievements as now. When they offended each other, how good would it be if they could kill each other? It's good now. For nothing, there is an extra existence on our heads in the land outside the world and the world, certainly. Guolin's words were also spoken by Transhan to Zhao Ani, but he didn't have the guts to say nonsense on the surface. He was afraid that the other party hadn't left yet, and was just hiding in the dark and staring at them. Chapter 45-64. Hearing Guolin's words, Zhao Ani secretly sighed. Why didn't he scold those trash in his heart? Perhaps, those trash, because they saw that the other party was a high-ranking god, could not be a threat to them, so they ignored it, but it was hard to imagine that the other party would fly into the sky one day, surpass them, and destroy their strength with a snap of the fingers. Of course, the past is like the wind, and the matter has come to this point, and those few trash can only bear the consequences of their one-sidedness. At this moment, Zhao Ani and Guolin didn't know. Before that, Duan Lingtian had only met Fu Liangyu, the newly promoted half-sage of the Fu family, but he had never met the other 3 half-sages. As for the hatred, it is not his own hatred, it is purely for helping others to avenge. Send them back first, and then you and I will personally take action to bring the 2 of them back to the sect. Zhao Ani said to Guolin, then Han Jiang must be in the Han family. As for Tuoba Liancheng, it may not be in his usual training place. Give Han Jiang to me, and Tuoba Liancheng is up to you to bring it back. If Tuoba Liancheng is still in his usual training place, you don't have to worry too much about it, just because he's not there. Whether it is Han Jiang or Tuoba Liancheng, they are only half-sages, and it couldn't be easier for them to bring them back to Qingyun sect. Even, as long as they issued an order to inform the 2 of them, the 2 of them would not hesitate and would come to Qingyun sacred sect immediately to meet them. After all, the 2 of them are also overlords in the Qingyun sacred sect area. If you still want to hang out here, you naturally dare not offend them easily. However, to be on the safe side, the 2 of them decided to go out in person. 3 months later, when Duan Lingtian came to Qingyun sacred sect, if he didn't see the 2 of them, Qingyun sacred sect would definitely bear his anger, which they didn't want to see. Humph. Even if that Tuoba Liancheng left his cultivation place and Qingyun sacred sect, I will do my best to bring him back to the sect. In Guolin's eyes, there was a cold light that his mother could not doubt. which was fierce and frightening. After leaving the area of Qingyun sacred sect, Duan Lingtian went directly to the location of Tongtian Pagoda. In the past, the Heavenly Tao publicized the Heavenly Tao text of the Tongtian Tower, which he still remembers in his heart. After the history is cut off, the first Xian of the 7th level appears, and everyone should celebrate it. From now on, a Tian Tower will appear above the central sea area of the outer worlds. Saints and half-step world lords can go to pass through the level. Once they pass through all the levels and successfully pass the level, they will be able to get a Heavenly Tao talisman, which can block taboos. There are 3 catastrophes, as for which catastrophe to block, you can choose independently. Therefore, he went directly to the sky above the central sea area of this outside world. Soon, Duan Lingtian arrived at the destination, and from a distance, he saw the Tongtian Pagoda, which looked like a towering giant mountain, hanging above the sky, with mysterious light shining, extremely gorgeous. Even, far away, he could feel the terrifying aura emanating from Tongtian Tower, as if he was telling others how good it was. The closer the distance was, Duan Lingtian found that he had entered the envelope of a divine consciousness. This spiritual consciousness is much stronger than the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect that he met before, even comparable to him. It is not difficult for him to guess that it is the spiritual consciousness of his master Feng Qingyang. Master. Duan Lingshan's spiritual consciousness extended out, communicated with the coming spiritual consciousness, and greeted respectfully. After the voice fell, he accelerated and reached the side of Tongtian Tower. A familiar figure appeared before his eyes. After many years, the master is still the same as before, but the aura on his body is much more restrained than before, but his eyes are extremely deep, like a black hole in space, mysterious and unpredictable. Xiao Tian. Feng Qingyang stood up, looked at Duan Lingtian in front of him, with a bright smile on his face. I saw the text of the Way of Heaven, and you have also stepped into the 7th level. Congratulations, Master, for becoming the first existence of the 7th level Xian after the history is cut off. Duan Lingtian laughed. He has always been grateful to the Master in front of him. The other party is his enlightener in the way of swordsmanship. Without the other party, he would not have grown rapidly in the past, and his progress has been amazing, and the other party has even indirectly helped him many times on his growth path. Many of them were on the line of life and death, saving his life. Master stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and he felt happy from the bottom of his heart. I'm also lucky. I was lucky enough to get the inheritance of the Time Sword Senior, so that I can make rapid progress along the law and achieve today's achievements. Feng Qingyang sighed, and the smile on his face became brighter. Now, both you and my master and apprentice have stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and it will be a good story to spread it. That's right, most of them now probably only know that the 2 of us came from the God-defying realm, and they don't know the master-student relationship between us. Duan Lingtian nodded, and the curve of the corner of his mouth became clearer. Thank you, Master, for helping Kir get rid of the soul imprisonment. Thinking of his wife Kir, who has been sent into the small world inside his body now, Duan Lingtian thanked him repeatedly. There is no need to be so polite between you and me. Feng Qingyang waved his hands and said, that's your wife, and also my apprentice-in-law. Moreover, even if I don't take action, you can help her get rid of that soul imprisonment at any time. After Duan Lingtian heard the words, he didn't say much on this topic, but his gratitude never diminished. Although the words were just like what his master said, but his master was able to help Kir release the soul imprisonment immediately after the breakthrough, which showed that he was always in his heart as a disciple. For him, take this matter to heart. Xiao Tian, what do you think of me guarding the side of Tongtian Tower and preventing those saints and Jesuan from entering Tongtian Tower? Feng Qingyang asked Duan Lingtian. How else can I see it? Duan Lingtian shook his head and smiled, and his eyes turned cold in an instant. If I step into the 7th step before Master, I will also be like Master, guarding here and not letting them go the way of heaven for them. Arranged shortcuts. If I break through first, I'm afraid I will do the same thing that day. Heaven's not fair. Tian Tian Pagoda, I didn't see him arrange it before, but now he has arranged it. Isn't this clearly aimed at you and me, Master? Why do we have to face the forbidden realm of catastrophe on our own, but they have a shortcut? After speaking, the smile on the corner of Duan Lingshan's mouth also turned into a sneer. Master. Duan Lingtian continued, after I finish arranging my family and some things, I will come to pick you up and guard this Tongtian Tower. From now on, you and I will take turns guarding the Tongtian Pagoda, and no one can enter. On this matter, he did not intend to give in. As for whether Tiandao will attack them, he really wasn't worried about this. If Tiandao can attack them without any scruples, why bother to create the Tian Pagoda? Wouldn't it be enough to just kill them? Moreover, he inherited the complete memory of the super-strong, old man Wukong before the historical partition, so he naturally knew that even during the historical partition, Tiandao had never directly killed someone. There should be some kind of restriction. As for the catastrophe of heaven and earth that year, causing all life to perish, returning the world to chaos, and cutting off history, according to the old man Wukong's own guess, it may not necessarily be what heaven did to them. It is very likely that there is another hidden secret. Chapter 45-65. Haha. Feng Qingyang laughed heartily, with a free and easy demeanor. Xiaotian, what you said completely touched my heart. However, you don't need to take turns with me, I just stay here alone. Anyway, it's the same wherever you practice. In the next period of time, you'd better spend time with your family. Having said that, he paused for a moment, as if remembering something, looked at Duan Lingtian, and said solemnly, you must have noticed that after stepping into the 7th level of Xian, the small world in our body has also undergone a transformation. It is enough for many existences below Xian to practice in the closed small world inside the body. The aura near the tree of life is so rich that it will never lose to the place outside the world, or even the place with the most aura in the world. If your family and friends are willing, they can all enter the small world inside your body to practice, and it is safer there. He is a person who can be said to have no worries, but his disciple is different. He has many family members and friends. If he is not careful, he may be used to threaten him. After listening to Master Feng Qingyang's words, Duan Lingtian also nodded solemnly, thought about this question seriously, and felt that it made sense. Certainly. He also knows that although the small world in his body is suitable for cultivation, it is very boring, and not everyone is willing to stay in it. On freedom, or outside freedom? I'll ask them for their opinion then. Duan Lingtian nodded and said, if they don't want to, I'll go to Lord Xiao and talk about it. Let the small world in my body replace one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm and become one of the planes of the gods in the Nishan realm. The Tao of Heaven is obviously intentionally pointing out a road for saints and Jiazun to hope to overcome the taboo realm and catastrophe. This is the benefit he gives to those people. But now, this road was blocked by his master and him, preventing those people from going on the road. If it were him who was the Tao of Heaven, even if he couldn't directly attack him and his master, he would try every means to give those saints and masters a chance to go on the road. Master, then I will deal with my affairs first. If you have something to do, you can send the law avatar back to the Xia family in the god-defying realm to find me at any time, and I will leave a law avatar there. Before leaving, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang. Good. Feng Qingyang responded and watched Duan Lingtian leave with a gratified smile on his face. At the same time, his gaze fell into the distance, his thoughts wandered, and his memory seemed to return to the scene when his disciple was still in the secular plane many years ago. At that time, he was already the Emperor of Nirvana, one of the planes of the heavens, standing high above, overlooking one of the planes of the heavens, and all living beings bowed down. But his disciple has not yet become an immortal. finally caught up. Thinking that before his breakthrough this time, he was surpassed a lot by this disciple, Feng Qingyang sighed again, feeling that he had finally saved his face as a master. Even if he knew that no matter whether his strength was surpassed or not, his disciple would not disrespect him because of it, but deep down he had to admit that he still cared a little. It is something to be proud of that blue comes out of blue and is better than blue, but it is often accompanied by a little helplessness deep in my heart. After separating from Master Feng Qingyang, Duan Lingtian was not in a hurry to return to Nishan realm to find family and friends. It was Feng Su Yufeng, who went to the vast land on one side of the sea area, and entered a lofty mountain. The atmosphere in it was so chilling that he almost fell here. Within the mountains, most of the place is barren, and sometimes there are monsters rushing past, rolling up dust, and disappearing in front of them in a blink of an eye. Here, it is the Red Demon Ridge. In the past, he almost fell here. This place was also the first stop on land he arrived at after he came to the outside world and accidentally appeared in the sea area. The owner of the Red Demon Ridge is an extremely strong man named Red Demon, who is suspected to have been seriously injured in the last 10,000 years Xeon tribulation, and urgently needs to find a new body to seize. The Red Devil wants to find a new body that fits the conditions as perfectly as possible. Because, the bloodline's secret method of their family can only use the perfect method of seizing the body once in a lifetime, which is a heaven-defying method that other lives do not have. At that time, Duan Lingtian was considered young, but the Red Devil should have to see whether he met other conditions, so he set up many tests and forced him to participate. However, before the Red Devil finished screening, he escaped from the Red Devil Ridge with the help of others. Red Devil, the old man is here, and you don't come out to see him? Duan Lingtian stood in the sky above the Red Demon Ridge, his eyes were calm, his tone was calm, although his voice was not loud, it was clearly heard by all the creatures in the Red Demon Ridge. As his voice fell, there were quite a few figures, rising from the sky in the Red Demon Ridge. They were the personal demon guards under the command of the Red Demon, and there were even a few figures that Duan Lingtian had some impression of. Chapter 45-66. Somewhat familiar. The few people who showed up looked at the purple-clothed youth in front of them, and one of them couldn't help muttering to himself, as if he had seen him before. As the puppet centurion of the Lord of the Red Demon Ridge, the Red Demon, he has not left the Red Demon Ridge for many years. In other words, there is a high probability that he met the other party in Red Demon Ridge. Isn't he Duan Lingtian? The other Golem Centurion also felt that the person in front of him was familiar, and soon remembered when and where he had seen each other. It was in the Red Demon Ridge many years ago that he had seen him. The first time I saw each other was when Wuxia, the puppet commander, fought against each other. At that time, the opponent was only a middle-level god, but it seemed to be a tie with Wuxia, and even broke out in the end, almost escaping from Red Demon Ridge. If Wuxia hadn't opened the formation barrier left by Master Chimo Ridge, the opponent would have already escaped. The formation barrier appeared, and Lord Red Demon appeared and took down the opponent. Later, the other party made another attack and powerfully killed Wuxia, one of the strongest under Lord Red Demon, in the Red Demon Ridge, shocking all their puppets. At that moment, they knew that looking at the Red Demon Ridge, only Lord Red Demon could hold down the opponent. Originally thought that the other party would eventually become Lord Red Demon's target of seizing the house, but later they were shocked to learn that the other party escaped from Red Demon Ridge under the nose of Lord Red Demon. That time, Lord Red Demon killed many golems to vent his anger in a fit of anger. The entire Red Devil Ridge is bleeding like a river. They never expected that many years later, they would see Duan Lingtian who escaped from Red Demon Ridge again. Was he so courageous? Aren't you afraid that Master Red Demon will take him down? Although Lord Red Demon now has a new body and does not need other bodies to seize the body, it is still an easy task to take down the opponent and make the opponent a puppet. This Lingtian, since he escaped back then, dare to come back? Several goblin centurions couldn't figure it out. Why did Duan Lingtian, who had already escaped from Red Demon Ridge and regained his freedom, run back to Red Demon Ridge? Although, some time ago, they also saw the publicity of Duan Lingtian in Tiandao script many times, but they didn't contact Duan Lingtian in front of them, they just thought it was a person with the same name and surname. They subconsciously felt that when they saw Duan Lingtian last time, it was not many years since now, so it must be impossible for them to be the same person. Duan Lingtian? The red demon appeared, no longer the body of the past, but another body. The owner of this body, Duan Lingtian, still has some impressions, and he was also one of the young geniuses imprisoned by the red demon back then. After the red demon appeared, his consciousness spread out and swept towards Duan Lingtian, as if he was surprised by Duan Lingshan's return and wanted to spy on Lingtian. Red demon, long time no see. Faced with the sweeping of the divine sense, the terrifying aura swept the four directions, making several puppet centurions retreat again and again. The scarlet demon, but Duan Lingshan's face remained unchanged, and with a calm smile, the divine sense also swept out. For a moment, Duan Lingtian didn't move, but extended an extremely terrifying momentum, pressing towards the red demon. The red devil's consciousness instantly collapsed. Wow! Under the oppression of Duan Lingshan's consciousness and the extended aura, the red demon spit out a mouthful of blood without any warning. His complexion was as white as paper in an instant, his childish holes contracted sharply, and his body trembled. Just at this moment, those two heavenly words that he saw a few years ago appeared in his mind without any sign. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian, the high-ranking in the Nishan realm, who has successfully passed through the taboo realm, and is expected to become the first 7th-level powerhouse after the history is cut off, surpassing the world's revered and saints. Congratulations to Duan Lingtian from the Nishan realm. After surviving the taboo realm, he successfully broke through and became the second strongest existence of the 7th level after the historical barrier, surpassing Jiezuan and saints. There were two heavenly words, and when he saw the first one, he thought of Duan Lingtian who he wanted to take away when he escaped from Red Demon Ridge. However, he felt that it could not be the same person. When he saw the second heavenly Tao text later, he felt even more impossible to be the same person. Even today, when Duan Lingtian appeared again in Scarlet Demon Ridge and delivered it to his door, he never thought that this Duan Lingtian was that Duan Lingtian, until this moment. Duan Lingtian crushed his consciousness, and just because of his aura, he vomited blood from the air, wounded his lungs, and the small world inside his body was turned upside down. He suddenly realized, the Duan Lingtian in front of him who he could easily control in the past is the Duan Lingtian announced by the Tiandao text. Now, one of the two most powerful existences in the world beyond, and even in the world. An existence above saints and world venerables, this. How can this be? Duan Lingtian, Duan Lingtian. Could it be that he is Duan Lingtian who was announced by the heavenly Tao text, has stepped into the 7th level of Xian, and is stronger than a saint? Those puppet centurions were also stunned by the scene in front of them at this time, and at the same time thought of the two heavenly words about Duan Lingtian. Their hearts trembled, and they never thought that the situation would change so suddenly. The first time we met back then, he was just a little guy with a middle-level god, but now, he has already stood in a place outside the world, or even the top of the world. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they wouldn't have dared to dream of such an outrageous thing. At this moment, their souls are trembling. Master Duan Lingtian. The Red Devil was so frightened that he knelt down, trembling all over, and trembling in his soul. No wonder. No wonder this Duan Lingtian dared to go and come back today after he escaped from Scarlet Devil Ridge that year, not to send him to seek death, but to settle old scores with him. Lord Duan Lingtian, I know that what I did to you in the past will never be redeemed by death. However, I still hope that my lord will spare my life. I am willing to follow my lord and be your slave. After confirming that the Duan Ling Tian in front of him was the Duan Ling Tian in the text of the Tao of Heaven, the red demon was completely desperate, and couldn't even raise the slightest thought of fighting back. How to fight back? He is almost at the bottom of the strongest, and the existence of the fourth level strongest can be easily killed. What can he use to fight this powerful who is more terrifying than saints and world venerables? Boring. Duan Ling Tian shook his head, but he didn't see any movement immediately. Not far away, the red demon kneeling in the void suddenly froze, and then shattered like a dream bubble. Red Devil is dead. As soon as the red demon died, those puppet centurions all showed ecstasy, and knelt down on the ground at the same time, thanking Duan Ling Tian repeatedly. Thank you Lord Duan Ling Tian for giving me a new life. Thank you, Lord Duan Ling Tian. Once the red devil died, the restraints on them puppets also disappeared. Soon, more and more golems came out from all over the red demon ridge, knelt down on the ground, and thanked Duan Ling Tian. Many people were so excited that they burst into tears. However, Duan Ling Tian has no time to go to them. Just a moment after he killed the red demon, he suddenly noticed a slight movement in the sky. And then, the sky, which was originally clear and cloudless, suddenly became groggy. Countless dark clouds gathered, and purple thunder like electric snakes shuttled through it, as if a heavy rain was about to come. And in an instant, it seemed that an invisible big hand stretched out, pushing the clouds to see the sun. The long-lost text of the Tao of Heaven reappears. Chapter 45-67. At the same time as the words of the Tao of Heaven appeared, the dark clouds that had been fiddled with on both sides turned into a cloud of blood in an instant, and at the same time a rain of blood began to rain. At this moment, in the vast sky, except for the surrounding positions where the words of the Tao of Heaven are located, the rest of the eye-catching places are constantly pouring blood rain. And this is exactly the vision of heaven and earth that appeared after the death of the most powerful red demon. The most powerful fell, thousands of miles of blood cloud, blood rain pouring down. Not only Scarlet Demon Ridge, even a large area around Red Demon Ridge was covered by blood rain at this time. This is, the strongest has fallen. The most powerful people in the surrounding area are only the Red Devil of Red Devil Ridge. He is dead? That's the heavenly Tao text. At first, a group of people were shocked by the vision of heaven and earth that appeared when the most powerful person fell, but soon their attention was attracted by the heavenly words that appeared after turning the clouds to see the future. The words of the Tao of Heaven are as golden as before, extremely dazzling, suspended in the sky, giving people a sense of oppression invisibly, which is awe-inspiring. From today, Tong Tian Tower no longer has only one entrance, 35 new entrances to Tong Tian Tower, 8 more places outside the boundary, 3 for each of the upper 3 realms, and 1 for each of the middle 18 realms. After breaking through the level, after leaving the Tong Tian Tower, you will be teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms without distinction. This is the heavenly word that is now displayed in places outside the world, and even in front of everyone in the world. Inside the Red Demon Ridge. Seeing the words of the Tao of Heaven, Duan Lingshan's originally calm face darkened in an instant. Although, he had vaguely expected that the heavenly Tao would move in the future, and it was impossible for his master to block the way for those world venerables and saints to obtain the Tian Tao talisman. But I didn't expect it to come so fast. Heaven. With a flash of coldness in his eyes, Duan Ling Tian disappeared in place out of thin air, looking for his master Feng Qingyang. All this happened too suddenly. Need to discuss with master, how to deal with it. Should I just watch those people pass through the Tong Tian Tower and get the amulet of Heaven's Tao, or do something to suppress them, so that as few people as possible can get the talisman of Heaven's Tao? The sudden words of the Tao of Heaven have nothing to do with most people in the outer worlds and 10,000 realms. After all, the Tongtian Pagoda is a trial place for the Tao of Heaven to be open to saints and world venerables. However, for Jie Zun and Saint, this is undoubtedly great news. Jie Zun from all walks of life in the upper three realms gathered together in the first place. In the bright light world. The burly Jiezhuan powerhouse, Lei Hong, swept away the haze on his face, and his face was full of red light. Everyone, what we need to do now is to find out where the three entrances of the Tongtian Tower are located in our Mingguang realm. Whoever finds it first, pass it on to others. We must enter the Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. It's too late to change. Who knows, will Feng Qingyang, after seeing the words of the heavenly Tao this time, hate the heavenly Tao, become angry from embarrassment, and go directly to the Mingguang realm to attack us. Hearing Lei Hong's words, the rest of the world masters in the Mingguang realm also showed serious expressions, thinking that Lei Hong's words made sense. In the Mingguang realm, there must be an existence that surpasses the world venerable, otherwise, wouldn't we have to rely on others all the time? Everyone, looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is urgent. I will go first. When a group of Jiezhuan from the Mingguang realm began to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in various places in the Mingguang realm. Jiezhuan from the other two realms of the upper three realms were also in action. They all want to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. In addition, they were all worried that Feng Qingyang would run over and attack them. Even if they didn't plan to enter Tongtian Tower for the time being, they didn't stay in their old lair, they planned to hide after helping others find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. Wait until there is an existence beyond the realm of respect in the realm where you are, and then come out. Those who can live up to now and have the strength of a world venerable are all human spirits, who have a thorough understanding of human nature, leaving themselves a way out. In the past, Feng Qingyang didn't attack them, maybe because he was worried that when he left Tongtian Tower and attacked some Jiezhuan and saints, other Jiezhuan and saints would take the opportunity to enter Tongtian Tower. Now, Tian Dao opened the entrance of Tongtian Tower again, and there were more than 30 of them, so Feng Qingyang's plan to guard Tongtian Tower and prevent Jiezhuan and saints from entering failed. They put themselves in the situation. If they were Feng Qingyang, there is a high probability that they would become angry and want to destroy all the saints and world venerables in the land outside the world, and even in the 10,000 worlds, preventing them from having the opportunity to step into the supreme world through the heavenly amulet rewarded in the Tongtian Tower. Strong Seventh Order. Although there are not as many world lords in the middle 18 realms as there are in the upper 3 realms, most realms have more or less 1 or 2 world lords. Like the Nishan realm, those who clearly knew that the former Jiezhuan had fallen, but still played tricks, were still a minority. Certainly. Even if the news of the demise of the former world venerable is exposed in the current Nishan realm, no one dares to underestimate it, because although it has lost one world venerable, it has 2 existences that surpass the world exalted. Those are the 2 strongest people in the world outside the world, and even in the world. Send everyone out, and be sure to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as soon as possible. The world lords of the 18 realms in China gave orders one after another. At the same time, they didn't dare to stay in their lair any longer, and didn't even join the ranks of searching for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower in their own realm for the time being. Instead, they walked out of their respective realms and got in touch with the other familiar Jiezhuan of the 18 realms. Wang Xiu, whoever finds the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first on your side, how about notifying each other as soon as possible? Just what I want. Waiting for your good news. Maybe you will find it first. One by one, the Jiezhuan of the 18 realms reached an agreement with the familiar Jiezhuan, and cooperated with each other to see who could find the entrance to the Tongtian Tower in their respective realms first. Most of them want to enter Tongtian Tower in the first place. The Jiezhuan of the middle 18 realms is different from the Jiezhuan of the upper 3 realms. There are strong and weak Jiezhuan in the upper 3 realms, and the weaker newly promoted Jiezhuan feel that there is a stronger one to support them, so they can relax a little bit, don't have to fight so hard, and don't need to fight to the death. However, the Jiezuan of the 18 realms in China are the pillars of their respective realms, and they all want to take another step forward and achieve supreme prestige. At that time, even if it is the upper 3 realms, they will not be afraid. For the existence of the 2 Transcendence Venerables from the Nishan realm, one of the 18 realms in China, they are envious from the bottom of their hearts. Now that they have a chance, why not give it a try? Moreover, after breaking through the numerous checkpoints in the Tongtian Tower and getting the Talisman of Heaven, it is not necessary to face the taboo realm of catastrophe. When to attract the taboo realm of catastrophe depends entirely on one's own arrangement. Heaven's Tao Talisman can block the 3 taboos of heavenly calamity. I don't know if the talisman of the heavenly Tao can be given to each other. If one person holds 6 talismans of the Tao of the heavenly Tao, wouldn't it be able to block the catastrophe of the 6 realms of taboo? Chapter 45-68. It's not just the powerful world venerables from myriad realms who are acting. Even saints from all over the world are taking action. One by one, they ordered the semi-sages of their respective forces, as well as a group of powerful people, to go out to find a new entrance to the Tongtian Tower, and at the same time they left their lair. I'm afraid of being killed by Feng Qingyang. Within the area of Qingyun Sacred Sect. The 2 saints of Qingyun Sacred Sect, Zhaoani and Guolin, also saw the heavenly Tao writing. At this time, Zhaoani had already arrived at the half-holy faction under the Qingyun Sacred Sect, the Han family. The half-sage of the Han family, Han Jiang, is one of the 2 half-sages that Duan Lingtian asked him to find today. At this time, after Han Jiang came out, recognized him, and saluted him respectfully, before he could make a move, he was attracted by the words of heavenly Tao. Han Jiang is an old man, dressed in brocade clothes, with a resolute face, fierce eyebrows, majestic and extraordinary, and a white beard on his face is even more fierce. However, after he saw the words of heavenly Tao, he immediately saluted Zhaoani, who was standing not far in front of him. Senior Zhao, congratulations, you will be able to enter the Tongtian Tower and get the heavenly Tao talisman immediately. At that time, Qingyun Holy Sect will definitely give birth to an existence that surpasses the saint. After finishing speaking, before Zhaoani could speak, Han Jiang continued, Senior Zhao, our Han family is willing to search for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower for you. However, after hearing Han Jiang's flattering words, Zhaoani, who came back to his senses, suppressed the surprise on his face and looked at Han Jiang indifferently. This glance only made Han Jiang's heart tremble, and his heart was about to burst. What's the situation? This person, who is famous in the Qingyun sect, came to their Han's house in person today, which made him think that his ancestral grave was full of smoke, and he could let the other party come in person. But now, seeing the other party's hostility, he couldn't help being upset. Han Jiang, do you know why I came here? Zhaoani stared at Han Jiang and asked indifferently. Although, he now has no choice but to turn around and look for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower immediately, enter the Tongtian Tower, obtain the talisman of the heavenly Tao, and prepare for surviving the taboo realm in the future. However, thinking of Duan Lingtian, he quickly dismissed the idea. He must first do what that person told him to do. Otherwise, 3 months later, when the other party came to Qingyun Sacred Sect and saw no one, what would he do if he attacked Qingyun Sacred Sect in a fit of rage? Could it be that he could make a further breakthrough at that time and step into the 7th level of Xian? It's impossible to think about it. Even if you enter the Tongtian Tower, you are not guaranteed to be able to get the talisman of the heavenly Tao. At the beginning, the text of the Tao of the heavenly Tao clearly stated that Jie Zun and a saint entered the Tongtian Tower, but they were only expected to get the talisman of the Tao of heaven. You don't have to get the heavenly Tao talisman. Han Jiang doesn't know, please ask Senior Zhao to clarify. Han Jiang took a deep breath and spoke nervously. Because the Han family was far away from the Fu family, even though there was a lot of movement on the Fu family side, and 2 half-saints died in a row, the news hadn't reached his ears yet. Of course, this is also because Zhao Ani came to the Han family immediately after returning to the Qingyun sacred sect after the Fu family's affairs were settled. Han Jiang didn't have time to get the news from there. You, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family, and what Tuoba Liansheng did, don't you know? Zhao Ani sneered, and without waiting for Han Jiang's response, he waved his hand, and a powerful force swept out, imprisoning the semi-holy Han Jiang in a blink of an eye. Then, she took Han Jiang with her and left the Han family. Whoosh! At an extremely fast speed, rush back to Qingyun sacred sect. After taking Han Jiang back, he will order people to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, and then he must go out himself to try to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower as quickly as possible. Senior Zhao, why did you imprison me? Han Jiang, who was imprisoned by Zhao Ani, completely sank in his heart. This feeling of uncontrollable life and death made him feel a little desperate. He already saw that the other party was not kind, but he still wanted to know, why did the other party treat him like this? Snort. Zhao Ani snorted coldly while walking. Didn't you hear clearly what I just said? At this time, Han Jiang had time to appreciate Zhao Enya's words just now. Just now, as soon as Zhao Enya's words fell, before he had time to react, he was taken away from Han Jiang by Zhao Ani, so that he had no time to appreciate those words carefully. Now, recalling that sentence again, the first thing he thought of was that many years ago, he and Tuoba Liansheng were called away by the Mingyao semi-sage of the Fu family, Fu Liangming, to the semi-sacred Duan Yue from the Duan family of Bibo Tianfu. Shoot and kill Duan Yue. Is it possible? This senior Zhao, is he old with that Duan Yue? Apart from this incident, he couldn't think of anything else he did with the half-sage of the Fu family and Tuoba Liansheng. That time was also the first time he saw Tuoba Liansheng. Although he had heard of the other party's name a long time ago, he didn't know him. The last time he met the other party was through the introduction of Fu Liangming, the semi-sage of the Fu family. Senior Zhao, are you going to stand up for that Yue half-sage? After Han Jiang figured this out, his face turned pale immediately, but he quickly started to save himself. Senior Mingjian, that incident was entirely caused by Fu Liangming. I owe him a favor. That time he came to me and asked me to pay him back. Let me join forces with him to deal with Yi Bansheng. However, Yi Bansheng died in his hands in the end. Senior, please enlighten me. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhao Ani was taken aback for a moment, then frowned and asked, Half-Saint Yi? Is there such a demi-saint within Qingyun sacred sect? Senior, isn't that what you asked? Seeing that Zhao Ani didn't seem to know Yi Bansheng, Han Jiang couldn't help being taken aback. Yi Bansheng is the half-saint of the Duan family of the half-holy force under Bibo Tianfu, named Duan Yue. Duan Yue. Hearing Han Jiang's words, Zhao Ani suddenly realized. Last name Duan. And that one is also surnamed Duan. I see. Han Jiang, do you know that before I went to find you, the 2 half-sages of the Fu family were already dead? Zhao Ani said calmly. What? Han Jiang's face changed drastically, and his eyes showed horror. Who is it? Who killed them? Hearing this, he faintly realized that Zhao Ani personally came to arrest him, and mentioned the things he, Fu Liangming and Tuoba Liansheng did together. Most likely it was because of the death of the former Yi Bansheng. And the Fu family, like their Han family, is a semi-holy force under the Qingyun sacred sect. Zhao Ani, as one of the 2 great saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, and the most powerful one, not only did he not stand up for the Fu family, but also came to the Han family to arrest him? Could it be that Duan Yue is old with other saints? Thinking of this, Han Jiang felt desperate. Chapter 45-69. Also, I guess he is not an ordinary saint. Thinking of this, Han Jiang became even more desperate. And the reason why he thinks this way is because Zhao Enya's status in Qingyun's sacred sect is too high. He is the number one person in Qingyun's sacred sect. If he can personally go out to capture him, how can the people behind him be ordinary saints? After 3 months, you will naturally see that person. Zhao Ani spoke calmly, not bothering to explain to Han Jiang. From the ending of the half-sage of the Fu family, it is not difficult to see that it is absolutely impossible for Mr. Duan Lingtian to spare Han Jiang's life. Senior Zhao. Han Jiang was frightened to the extreme, trembling in his heart, and begged, "Can you see me, and even the Han family, have been working hard for Qingyun Shengzong, and give me a way out? If Senior is willing to give me a way out, Han Jiang will spare no effort to work for Senior in the future." He is not stupid either. The 2 half-sages of the Fu family are dead. If he is brought back by Zhao Ani, he will definitely have no way out, and I am afraid he can only live for 3 months at most. That was not what he wanted. Now, he only hoped that the person in front of him would spare him. In his opinion, even if the other party is a powerful saint, as long as Zhao Ani is willing to protect him, he can still be protected. After all, Zhao Ani is also a veteran saint, and saints whose strength can be seen outside the world are all top-ranked existences. Unfortunately, he never dreamed of, the person who forced Zhao Ani to arrest him would be an existence above the saint. If he knew, he would never have promised Fu Liangming of the Fu family to snipe and kill Duan Yue, the half-sage of Yuyi. Zhao Ani, who ignored Han Jiang and even felt that Han Jiang was annoying, even sealed Han Jiang's mouth and consciousness, and he couldn't even transmit the sound, but at the same time he also received a summons. It was his nephew Guo Lin who sent the message, "Uncle, Tuobo Liancheng is not in his training ground," and at the same time I saw the text of heaven. I got some clues about the whereabouts of Tuobo Liancheng. Next, I should go to find the entrance of the Tongtian Tower first, or go to the Tuobo Liancheng? Guo Lin asked. The words of Heaven's Tao are related to the new entrance of Tongtian Tower, which is very important to his uncle Zhao Anlin. On the contrary, he, even a saint, is not very sure that he can pass the test of the Tongtian Tower and get the Heavenly Tao amulet. Moreover, even if he got the Heavenly Tao talisman, he could not step into the Forbidden Realm for the time being. Although his fire law has comprehended the state of Dzogchen, the Tao of the Sword has just stepped into the 6th level when he broke through to become a saint last time, and there is still a long way to go from the 7th level. If you want to step into the taboo realm, you must have a law of great perfection, a 7th level of the 4 ways of heaven and earth. This is the most basic threshold. However, although he was not in a hurry, he had to think about his uncle. You go to Tuobo Liancheng. On Zhao Enya's side, he quickly responded to Guo Lin, "I will arrange for people to search for the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I will take Han Jiang back to the sect now. After I go back and make arrangements, I will also go out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower myself. Within 3 months, you must bring Tuobo Liancheng back to the sect." Zhao Enya's tone was extraordinarily dignified in the last sentence of the interrogation. Although I can attract the taboo realm's catastrophe at any time, if I'm not prepared, even if I have 3 heavenly talismans, I'm not very sure. Also, for the time being, I don't know how difficult it is to get the Heavenly Tao talisman in Tongtian Tower, and I don't necessarily have to get the Heavenly Tao talisman. We can't afford to offend Duan Lingtian. Hearing this, Guo Lin quickly responded that he would definitely bring Tuobo Liancheng back to Qingyun's sacred sect within 3 months. After Zhao Ani brought Han Jiang back to Qingyun's sacred sect, he immediately imprisoned him by means, and at the same time sent a semi-sacred guard who was not weaker than him. You must keep an eye on him. If he escapes, the sect may be in danger. Zhao Ani said to the half-sage he had arranged, that this half-sage is his disciple and he can be completely trusted, but he still gave a serious order. "Master, don't worry, unless I die, he can't leave the sect." The half-saint respectfully responded. "If he wants to escape, you can kill him, but the body must be well preserved. At least 3 months later, people can see his appearance clearly and see that he was a semi-holy before he died. Zhao Ani added a sentence. And these words fell into Han Jiang's ears, and Han Jiang's complexion became paler with fright. He knew in his heart that whether he would survive in the future would depend entirely on the mood of the saint who came to the door 3 months later. However, he is already mentally prepared, and when the time comes, he will put all the responsibility on Fu Liangming of the Fu family. He is just paying Fu Liangming a favor, and if the other party can spare his life, he is willing to be a slave for the maid. In this way, the other party may not necessarily kill him. After arranging Han Jiang, Zhao Ani began to give orders to let most of the semi-sages in the sect go out to inquire about the news of the new Tongtian Tower entrance. At the same time, he also planned to leave. However, what he didn't expect was that, before he left Qingyun's sacred sect's region, there would be a strong man from outside the domain who came across the domain and directly sent a message to greet him and communicate with him. The person who came was the sage from Bibo Tianfu who never saw his end, and was also his old friend. Many people thought that this old guy was dead, but they didn't expect that he was still alive. This old guy is older than him, and the last 10,000-year catastrophe almost killed him. Xiao Zhao, have you seen the text of Heaven's Tao? If you have any news about the entrance of the new Tongtian Tower, please let me know immediately. After that, everyone should remove the sound barrier. The old voice transmission reached Zhao Enya's ears. As for Zhao Ani, after hearing what the old man said, he smiled wryly. He had so many things to arrange, but he completely forgot about it. Old Meng, thanks to your reminder, otherwise I would have forgotten about the sound transmission barrier. In the land outside the boundary, there are not only formations to isolate the sound transmission, so that the sound transmission from the outer domain is not allowed to enter the edge of the area ruled by the major saint forces. The sound transmission on my side can't get out either. Now, the strong man in Bibo Tianfu has just crossed the region, so that he can be contacted by sound transmission. Well, if there is any news from my side, I will contact you as soon as possible. Old Meng said, next, I will go out and look around in person to see if I can find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. There was a bit of urgency in the tone. As for the other party's urgency for the entrance to Tongtian Tower, Zhao Ani can understand. After all, if you can't go further and step into the 7th level of Xian, the next 10,000 years of catastrophe will be the death of the other party. I remember. This one in Bibo Tianfu, the last 10,000 years tribulation was ushered in 9,000 years ago, right? No wonder you're so impatient. If there is no way to go further, he will not have 1,000 years to live. Chapter 45-70. Time is ruthless. Before the Tongtian Tower appeared, even if they were as strong as saints and Jesuan, they were helpless in the face of the 10,000 years of catastrophe against the strongest who were getting stronger every time. They could only wait for death. Because they couldn't take the next step. The next step is no different from being broken. For example, Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu, who was seriously injured in the 10,000 years of heavenly tribulation 9,000 years ago, survived by luck and saved his life. It took thousands of years to recover. Over the years, after recovering from his injuries, he never appeared in front of people again. Many people outside thought that he had died of serious injuries. However, none of them knew that he was making his last effort. He has a crazy plan. Although this plan can be carried out even by saints and world venerables like him, few people have the courage to carry it out. That is, before the next mortal catastrophe of 10,000 years comes, step into the forbidden realm, face the taboo realm of catastrophe, and see if there is a chance to live to death. The catastrophe of the taboo realm has changed people's faces. In the history of the outer worlds and 10,000 realms, there are many powerful people who have faced the catastrophe of the taboo realm, but they all died miserably. No one survived the taboo realm catastrophe. Occasionally, some invincible high-ranking gods also took that crucial step, leading to taboos and catastrophes, and finally ended in death. Some people deliberately stay in the realm of high-ranking gods and want to face the weaker taboo realm of heavenly calamity, so as not to be almost dead after becoming the strongest. However, it still failed and had no way out. The Meng Lao of Bibo Tianfu is actually not sure, he just wants to fight, make the last effort, and want to bloom the afterglow. If you don't fight, you are waiting to die. If you fight hard, you may die, but if you can live to death, you will be reborn from nirvana, just like living another life. Can live, who wants to die? I don't have the courage of Meng Lao for the time being. After returning to Qingyun's sacred sect and ordering the people below to put away the four-way sound transmission barrier, Xiaofan went on the road again, looking for other entrances to Tongtian Tower. In the previous 10,000 years tribulation, he was only slightly injured. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he is sure to survive. In the next 10,000 years of catastrophe, he may be powerless. So, he still has time. There is no urgency to step into the taboo realm, and more plans to wait and see for a while, to see if there will be a few more, extreme 7th level, in the land outside the world and the world. Now, there are many people who think like Xiaofan. The most anxious person is still like the old Meng of Bibo Tianfu, who is not sure how to deal with the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. After setting off on the road, Xiaofan received many messages from old friends, one after another, and they were all communicating with him, asking him to tell them if he found the entrance to Tongtian Tower. If they find it first, they will share it too. Xiaofan readily agreed. To Zhao Enya's surprise, there was another summons, which was also sent to him by a saint who was older than him. Xiao Zhao, if you find the entrance of Tongtian Tower, please say hello to me. The person who sent this message stepped into the Supreme Being, not much later than Meng Lao from Bibo Tianfu. The most important is, 2,000 years ago, the other party almost died under the 10,000 years calamity. Now, it is estimated that they have not recovered yet. Old Wang, your injury has healed? Xiaofan was shocked. He never expected that this person would also come out to find the entrance of Tongtian Tower. He recovered from his injuries and was going to enter Tongtian Tower to get the amulet of the Tao of Heaven, and then hit the heavenly tribulation of the promotion realm? My injury is still not healed. The other party sent a message again, with a somewhat helpless tone. However, another old friend of mine sent a message to ask me to pay attention to the entrance of Tongtian Tower. I am asking for directions for him. Xiao Zhao, don't worry, even if I don't need the location of the entrance of Tongtian Tower in a hurry, I have already agreed with him. If he finds it, he should tell me and I will let you know. He had to be helpless. The 10,000 years tribulation 2,000 years ago almost killed him. Until now, the injury has only recovered a little bit. From now on, without thousands of years, it is almost impossible to recover. Even if he now knows where the entrance of the Tongtian Tower is, he will not dare to enter the Tongtian Tower until he recovers from his injuries. He doesn't want to fall into it without getting the heavenly Tao talisman. Even if there is no fear of his life, it would be a waste of time to get the amulet of heaven, and it might aggravate his injuries. He can't take the risk. Okay, Mr. Wang. Xiaofan suddenly realized that he thought that the other party had some kind of great opportunity to heal the severe injuries suffered in that catastrophe in such a short period of time. It turned out that it was just asking for directions for others. When Xiaofan started to move in the land outside the realm, almost all the saint forces have also moved. Even those saints who practiced casually also took action. Some people want to enter Tongtian Tower by themselves. Some people, it is to help others find a new entrance to Tongtian Tower. The Tongtian Tower, as before, stood above the central sea area of the outer boundary, and did not leave. Here, you can still enter the Tongtian Tower. What the Tao of Heaven opens is nothing but other entrances directly leading to the interior of Tong Tian Tower. Xiao Tian Dao did a really good job this time. Not only opened more than 30 entrances, but even explained that after they leave Tong Tian Tower, they will be indiscriminately teleported to a certain realm of 10,000 realms. A cold light flashed in Feng Qingyang's eyes, and his tone was quite unfriendly. This is for them to relieve their worries. I'm afraid that if they come out from here, I will kill them. Not just Breezy. Even Duan Lingtian didn't look too good looking. He also just came back from Chimo Ridge. Before the appearance of the Heavenly Tao characters, he never thought that he would come to his master again so soon. However, soon Duan Lingtian seemed to have thought of something, his face calmed down, and he smiled calmly. Master, even if the way of heaven is like this, if you think about it, you will definitely not exterminate those saints and world venerables without a reason. So, you don't need to be angry. Just let them into their babble. He knew that his master was not someone who killed indiscriminately for no reason. Now that he was angry, he felt that the way of heaven was unfair, and he didn't spill his grievances on those saints and Jesuan. After all, those people are just pawns in the eyes of Tiandao. You and I, master and apprentice, have traveled all the way, faced up to the strong, and have achieved today's achievements. In this world, there are more existences that surpass saints and world venerables. For us, isn't it a spur? After Duan Lingtian finished speaking, before Feng Qingyang could speak, he received an unexpected message. The message was sent by Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu. Master Duan Lingtian, Mr. Meng of our Bibo Tianfu is eager to enter the Tong Tian Tower. Now that the Heavenly Tao has added a new entrance to the Tong Tian Tower, I don't know if we can let him go to the main entrance of the Central Sea area. This is the first time Xiao Tianxi has contacted Duan Lingtian, who has stepped into the Xian realm, and the title has completely changed, and Duan Lingtian is respected as my lord. He is relatively familiar with Duan Lingtian, and he has also been to Nishan realm later, so he naturally knows that the strong man guarding the main entrance of Tong Tian Pagoda, Feng Qingyang, is Duan Lingshan's master. Now, the entrances of the Tong Tian Tower are blooming everywhere, and there is no news about other entrances for the time being. He wants to ask the way for their Bibo Tianfis Meng Lao, whether he can use the main entrance of the Tong Tian Tower and enter the Tong Tian Tower first. Chapter 45-71. In the sound transmission, Xiao Tianxi expressed very clearly that Bibo Tianfu, the most powerful man, Meng Lao, who many people don't know exists, is eager to enter the Tong Tian Tower to obtain the Heavenly Tao Talisman, and he wants to fight for the second life. Regarding this old Meng, when Duan Lingtian was in Bibo Tianfu in the past, he heard people mention it. Many people thought he was dead, and some people thought he was still alive, hiding in the dark and guarding Bibo Tianfu. Now it seems that he is still alive. However, it has come to the end. At least, if the Tong Tian Tower does not appear, he will not have many years to live, and he will surely die if the strongest catastrophe comes within 1,000 years. Some time ago, the Tong Tian Tower appeared, and Feng Qingyang blocked the way. Although this old Meng wanted to enter the Tong Tian Tower, he had no choice but to return because he was afraid of Feng Qingyang's strength. Later, when he learned that Feng Qingyang's disciple was the first Duan Lingtian who survived the taboo realm of heavenly calamity after the historical segregation, and that Duan Lingtian had a relationship with Bibo Tianfu, he asked Xiao Tianxi to find Duan Lingtian, hoping that he could enter Tong Tian Tower of Opportunity. Xiao Tianxi had contacted Duan Lingtian at the time, but because Duan Lingtian was not in the outer realm and the Nishan realm, he had no way to send a message to contact Duan Lingtian. Instead, he found Feng Qingyang, but Feng Qingyang didn't buy it, because he wasn't sure if the other party really had a relationship with his disciple Duan Lingtian. Let's talk about it after you contact Xiao Tian. This was Feng Qingyang's response to Xiao Tianxi at that time. Therefore, Now that Duan Lingtian passed on Xiao Tian's message, Feng Qingyang also shook his head and smiled. The person you mentioned once came to me in the past, saying that he had an old relationship with you. Let me take it for your sake, and give him that an opportunity for an elder to enter Tongtian Tower. I was worried that he was a liar, so I ignored him and asked him to contact you. Hearing Master's words, Duan Lingtian smiled. He did not expect Xiao Tianzi, the majestic master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu, to be regarded as a liar by his master. Immediately afterwards, Feng Qingyang said again, since it is indeed someone you know, you just ask him to call his elders over. Now that there are so many new entrances to the Tongtian Tower, it is impossible for us to restrict them from entering the Tongtian Tower. I didn't think about killing people, just like you said, as a person, I can't do that kind of thing. Besides, I guard the Tongtian Tower, and I don't have any opinions on them, let alone fear that they will go further and have strength comparable to mine. In my whole life, the thing I'm most afraid of is competition. I guard the Tongtian Tower, but I am venting my dissatisfaction with the way of heaven. Why do I have to rely on myself to break through the forbidden realm and the catastrophe to achieve what I am today, but they can take shortcuts? Hearing this, Duan Lingtian knew that after so many years, the master is still the same master, has not changed, and is not afraid of competition, but the backbone is also tough. I'll tell him. Duan Lingtian nodded, and sent a message to Xiao Tianzi, Master, there is no need to be so polite between you and me, right? Isn't it a bit distant when you call adult? Just let that person come over directly. In addition, you should contact the two saints of Qingyun sect. Tell them that if they finish what I told them, they can also walk through the main entrance of Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian thought of the two saints of the Qingyun sacred sect, and wanted to stimulate them, make them work harder and work for themselves without any slack. That's not being polite. Xiao Tianzi quickly responded, My lord, I yelled out willingly. When I can catch up with you, I will change my address. Thanks. After Xiao Tianzi received Duan Lingshan's response, he immediately contacted the old Meng from Bibo Tianfu and told him that he could go directly to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda, and he had already said hello there. That's how you say hello? Meng Lao was a little surprised, but at the same time he was a little more cautious. God send boy, is this reliable? Duan Lingtian, isn't he fishing with his master? Xiao Tianzi smiled wryly, Old Meng, even if they want to fish, they don't need to use you as a knife. You know, that Lord Duan Lingtian still has the status of our Golden Dragon Hall disciple. You don't have to worry about it. For Duan Lingtian, he is still very relieved, and it is absolutely impossible to fool him on this matter. Okay, I'll go there. In fact, Mr. Meng also felt that the other party didn't need to catch him like this, but just wanted to seek peace of mind, so he asked a little more, and he immediately turned, heading towards the direction of Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. He is no stranger there. After Tongtian Pagoda appeared last time, he passed by immediately, but seeing that the Jesuan of the upper three realms didn't get any benefits, he could only sigh helplessly and go back. The wind is light, too strong. Can't afford it. After greeting Mr. Meng, Xiao Tianzi thought for a while, and muttered to himself, now, should the Qingyun sect also close the sound transmission barrier? As soon as he thought about it, he sent a sound transmission to an old friend of the Qingyun sacred sect, an existence of the strongest fourth rank, whose strength was close to that of a semi-sage, and his status in the Qingyun sacred sect was quite high. He greeted the other party and relayed Duan Lingshan's words. Duan Lingtian? Hearing Xiao Tianzi's message, the other party gasped. He also knew about the fact that Duan Lingtian had killed 2 half-sages of the Fu family and 1 half-sage of Qingyun sect today. At the same time, he also knew that the other party made a move to overwhelm the 2 great saints of Qingyun sect. If the other party is willing, they can use their own strength to destroy Qingyun sacred sect. Old Xiao, are you very familiar with Duan Lingtian? The other party summoned and asked. He had not contacted this old friend for many years, and he couldn't help but be surprised when he received the other party's summons many years later. Okay. Xiao Tianxi responded, and then focused on the relationship between Duan Lingtian and Bibo Tianfu before he passed through the forbidden realm of heavenly calamity. Old Xiao, your luck is invincible, to be able to have a relationship with such an existence in advance. The Qingyun sacred sect's tone was full of envy, and at the same time, thinking of something that his uncle told him today, he couldn't help asking, Old Xiao, this Ling Tian is not related to the semi-sacred forces under your Qingyun sacred sect. What's the relationship with Duan Yue, Yuye's half-sage? The saint of Qingyun sect didn't know about Duan Yue's existence, but he did. Knowing that the semi-sage Han Jiang was captured and suppressed by the sect, and waiting for Duan Lingtian to come over, he knew the ins and outs of the matter, so it was not difficult for him to guess that Duan Lingtian and Duan Yue had a close relationship. Duan Lingtian once entered the Duan family, and was recognized as a younger brother by that half-sage Yi. Xiao Tianxi replied. In the past, Duan Lingtian had specifically approached him and asked him to help take care of the Duan family, so he later learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Duan family. Why are you asking this all of a sudden? Xiao Tianxi asked curiously. I see. The people on the Qingyun sacred sect side gasped, and then told Xiao Tianxi what Duan Lingtian had done in the Qingyun sacred sect area today, because the news hadn't spread, and Xiao Tianxi hadn't had time to know. Xiao Tianxi couldn't help sighing when he heard the words. It seems that he really regards Duan Yue as his god-sister. He decided to treat the Duan family more kindly in the future. Chapter 45-72. Xiao Tianxi's old friend in Qingyun sect, while chatting with Xiao Tianxi, also sent a message to his uncle. His uncle was exactly the disciple of Zhao Ani, the number one sage of the Qingyun sect. He contacted his master as soon as he got the content of Xiao Tianxi's message from his nephew. Xiao Tianxi from Bibo Tianfu. Zhao Ani was looking for the entrance of the Tongtian pagoda outside, and he couldn't help being a little surprised when he suddenly received a message from his disciples. Bibo Tianfu, do you still have such a connection with Master Duan Lingtian? Bibo Tianfu, how could there be such luck? Zhao Ani was so jealous that he went crazy. However, that Lord Duan Lingtian didn't forget me and Guolin after all, and was willing to open the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda for me and Guolin. And that Lord Feng Qingyang is actually his master? The two 7th-level Xians that appeared after the historical break came from one of the realms of the 10,000 realms, which is already shocking enough. What made him even more unexpected was that Feng Qingyang was actually Duan Lingshan's master. This news took him by surprise. At the same time, he also learned about the relationship between Duan Lingtian and the Yue half-saint Duan Yue, as well as Duan Yue's origin from the message sent by his disciples. He felt more and more that the members of the Fu family, as well as Han Jiang and Tuobo Liancheng had no eyesight, and even dared to kill such a terrifying god-sister. Guolin. Soon, Zhao Ani sent a message to Guolin, who was looking for Tuobo Liancheng, and at the same time solemnly reminded, you don't have to worry about the Tongtian Tower. What you have to do now is to find Tuobo Liancheng as soon as possible. Are there any other clues about Tuobo Liancheng? If I need to go there, I can go there at any time. After greeting Guolin, Zhao Ani didn't intend to continue looking for the entrance of the Tongtian Tower, but he didn't go back to the Qingyun sacred sect, but walked towards the Tongtian Tower in the Central Sea area. When he arrived near Tongtian Pagoda, he happened to meet Meng Lao, the sage of Bibo Tianfu. Old Meng. After so many years, seeing this old man again, Zhao Ani couldn't help but sigh. Back then, when he was still young, this one was a big shot in Bibo Tianfu, and he had stepped into the realm of the strongest. This is a living fossil. Xiao Zhao. Old Meng, an old man in a Taoist robe, with a fairy-like appearance and a childlike face, was also surprised when he saw Xiaofan. "Are you also going to the main entrance of Tongtian Pagoda?" "Yes." Xiaofan nodded. "I heard from my disciples that Lord Duan Lingtian authorized me and Guolin to enter the Tongtian Tower through the main entrance of the Tongtian Tower. However, I don't plan to go in for the time being. I'm planning to come over to thank Lord Duan Lingtian, and pay a visit to Lord Feng Qingyang by the way." He already knew Duan Lingtian, but Feng Qingyang didn't know him yet. Although he had seen Feng Qingyang last time, he only dared to wait and see from a distance. Seeing that Jia Zun from the upper three realms was frightened back, he also retreated. Feng Qingyang, but like Duan Lingtian, who is above the saints and Jiazuan, if he has the opportunity to get acquainted, he naturally doesn't want to miss the opportunity. In a short period of time, he has not planned to enter the Tongtian Tower, and plans to wait and see for a while. You must not be in a hurry. Last time, I heard that you still have the strength to spare. Elder Meng sighed with emotion, and then smiled wryly, "But, I'm different from you, I don't have much time. I just want to enter Tongtian Tower as soon as possible and get those 3 heavenly Dao talismans. I don't know how difficult the level in the Tongtian Tower is, but I think it's definitely not too easy. To get something, I'm afraid you have to pay some price, and you may even be injured. I want to get the heavenly Dao talisman as soon as possible, then come out to recuperate, and then step into the Forbidden Realm before the next 10,000 years of catastrophe comes. The realm of taboo is the 7th level of Xian. As long as he steps in smoothly, his strength will be greatly improved, and it will be easy to face the next 10,000 years of catastrophe. In the future, I can live for a long time." On the side of Tongtian Tower, Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang are still there. Soon, Xiaofan and the two came hand in hand. "You came so soon. Did someone catch you?" Seeing Xiaofan, Duan Lingtian was a little surprised. He didn't expect this guy to come over so quickly. Did he already capture those 2 half-sages? Master Duan Lingtian. Xiaofan greeted him respectfully, and then said bluntly, "I have already captured Han Jiang. Guolin has gone to find Tuoba Liancheng, and it won't take long to catch him. I'm not here to enter the Tongtian Tower, but mainly to thank you for giving me the opportunity to enter the Tongtian Tower from here." Xiaofan said. "It's okay, my master doesn't plan to stay here for a long time, at most 10 days and a half months, he will leave here." Duan Lingtian said that after 10 days and a half a month, more than half of the other 35 entrances of Tongtian Tower will definitely be found, and it will be meaningless to guard here again. Qingyun Sacred Sect Xiaofan, I have met Master Feng Qingyang. Although he knew that both Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang were younger than him, Xiaofan still didn't dare to neglect him, and kept saying hello respectfully. Next, although he also has the opportunity to step into the 7th level of the strongest and stand shoulder to shoulder with the 2 people in front of him, he knows in his heart that with the terrifying talents of the 2 opponents, it is impossible for his future achievements to stop at the 7th level of the strongest. After all, these are the 2 beings who can survive the taboo realm without the talisman of heaven. Feng Qingyang survived the taboo realm of catastrophe with the cultivation base of a middle-level god, although there is an element of trickery, but which middle level can successfully pass the law without fear of 1,000 years of catastrophe before becoming a high-level god? To comprehend the Dzogchen, and comprehend the 4 ways of heaven and earth to the 7th level? Feng Qingyang's achievement, I am afraid that no one can repeat it, and there will be no successor. Such a character will be absolutely extraordinary in the future. Meng Han, I have seen 2 adults. Elder Meng of Bibo Tianfu also spoke, and his posture was also very low. How could he not think of what Xiaofan could think of? Although Duan Lingtian has some connections with their Bibo Tianfu, he also knows that it is for Xiao Tianxi's face, and the other party doesn't need to give him face now. Old Meng, the palace master has already greeted me, you just go directly to Tongtian Tower. Duan Lingtian nodded to Meng Han, not alienated, but not enthusiastic either. After all, it was his first contact with Meng Han, and just as the other party thought, it was all for Xiao Tian's sake. Go. Feng Qingyang also saw Meng Han's eagerness to try, and said with a faint smile, I'm afraid you are the first person to enter the Tongtian Tower since the Tongtian Tower appeared. Thank you two adults for your success. Meng Han was very excited, and after he finished speaking, he dodged into the Tongtian Tower. Tongtian Tower has been open for a while, and today finally ushered in the first passerby. Chapter 45-73. Zhao Ani stayed for a while, chatted with Duan Lingtian and Feng Qingyang with a shy face, and finally took his leave and left. He made it clear to Duan Lingtian that when he goes back this time, he will cooperate with his nephew, Guo Lin, another saint of Qingyun's sacred sect, to find that Tuoba Liancheng. After finding out the other party, send a message to Duan Lingtian immediately. For this reason, he asked Duan Lingtian for a soul orb to facilitate communication. After Zhao Ani left, Duan Lingtian greeted Master Feng Qingyang, and left here, returning to Nishan realm. When he returned to the god-defying realm, he immediately went to the secular plane where his family and friends were housed in the past, and found his family and relatives, but many of them were no longer in the secular plane. Only his parents, his wife Li Fei, Feng Wudao and Feng Tianhui's father and daughter remained in this secular plane. Feng Wudao went out a few days ago and is not here for now. Xiao Tian, the person who announced the text of the Tao of Heaven is really you? Isn't it the same name and surname? Seeing Duan Lingshan's return, Duan Rufeng and Li Rou were surprised and curious about it. Although they vaguely felt that it should be their son, they didn't dare to confirm it 100% before confirming it, but they all agreed that if it was their son, they should be back soon. Sure enough, he came back. Congratulations, husband. Congratulations, brother Tian. The two daughters, Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, looked at Duan Lingtian with affection and intoxicating eyes. This is their man. With such achievements, it finally made them feel at ease. Before that, although they didn't say anything on the surface, they were unavoidably worried in their hearts. After all, the road to the strong is full of difficulties and obstacles, and what they don't know is that they are often accompanied by life and death. However, they can't help, they can only worry at home. From today onwards, you don't have to hide anymore. Duan Lingtian looked at the two daughters with tenderness in his eyes. Over the years, he had indeed wronged them, and he finally healed Kir smoothly. Immediately afterwards, the four of them asked about Kir's situation. After all, they all knew that a large part of the reason why Duan Lingtian worked so hard was to cure Kir. Kir's soul imprisonment has been lifted by Master first. After I broke through, I went to the Xia family, the land of the gods, and then sent her into the small world inside my body. Then, he sent his parents, Li Fei, and Feng Tianwu into the small world inside his body, and asked them to visit his wife, Kir, who hadn't woken up yet. Kir is in good condition now. With the blessing of the divine tree of life and the divine water of purifying the world in my body, I will definitely be able to wake up in a few years at most. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, the four were relieved. Kir was the first to follow Duan Lingtian. At that time, even Duan Rufeng was still missing. She got along very well with Li Rou, as close as a mother and daughter. Li Rou breathed a sigh of relief. That's good, I'll wait for this girl to wake up. Li Fei and Feng Tianwu, who had already become sisters with Kir, also breathed a sigh of relief. Duan Rufeng, Li Rou and his wife quickly urged Duan Lingtian to accompany Li Fei and Feng Tianwu. Now that Kir is fine, it's time to give Tianwu a title. Hearing the voice transmission from his parents, Duan Lingtian nodded secretly. A few days after returning, Feng Wudao came back. Uncle Feng. Duan Lingtian greeted him respectfully, even though he is now very powerful, he did not ask for favors with this elder, not to mention that this elder is the father of the confidant Feng Tianwu. Even in the past, on his growth path, this elder also did not miss help. Xiao Tian. Seeing Duan Ling Tian, Feng Wudao was also surprised. At the same time, he asked about the heavenly Tao text that appeared some time ago, and when he learned that it was indeed Duan Ling Tian, he burst into laughter. Ha! Okay. I really didn't expect that you can go to that step, surpassing all the strong men in the world and the land outside the world. Only your master can stand shoulder to shoulder with you. Feng Wudao laughed. He was really happy for Duan Ling Tian. This is his future son-in-law. Is Ku-er all right? Facing Feng Wudao's inquiry, Duan Ling Tian quickly responded, and at the same time changed the subject, and said to Feng Wudao, Uncle Feng, what my parents mean is, recently proposed marriage to you, officially giving Tianwu a title. Hearing this, Feng Wudao was stunned for a moment, and then his smile became brighter. Okay. I'll wait for them to propose marriage. Does that girl Tianwu know? If she knows, she must be very happy. Feng Tianwu is his daughter and the only relative at present. He is naturally happy from the bottom of his heart that his daughter can find a good home. Uncle Feng. Before Duan Ling Tian could continue, Feng Wudao interrupted with a smile. Xiao Tian, it's time to change your mind, right? Father-in-law. Duan Ling Tian changed his words with a smile, and then told Feng Wudao about his next plan. He was going to find Xiao Mubai, the master of the Nishan realm, and others, in order to control a plane of the gods. With his current strength, he doesn't even need to risk the entire small world inside his body. He only needs to separate a small half of the small world inside his body, which is enough to turn into a plane of the gods no smaller than the plane of the gods today. At that time, if you are willing to stay in the small world in my body and accompany me, then stay in it. If you want to take it outside, you can stay in the plane of the gods transformed into a small world inside my body, which is absolutely safe. Hearing Duan Lingshan's words, Feng Wudao's eyes lit up immediately, because it also meant that he could go to the plane of the gods, which was the place he was looking forward to very much. Duan Ling Tian waited for half a month. Someone is back. It was Huaner who came back. Seeing Huaner again, Duan Ling Tian was very surprised. This girl was already a superior god. Seeing her return after a long journey, it was obviously because of seeing the words of the way of heaven. Phantom. Looking at the beautiful figure that he hadn't seen for many years, he called out Brother Tian, turned into a gust of fragrant wind and threw himself into his arms. Duan Lingshan's heart trembled, and at the same time he sighed secretly. This girl, even with the layout of the god-defying beasts in the past, she has worked very hard to get to this point. As for why she worked so hard, he naturally knew. Can't help feeling distressed. You are hurt? Soon, Duan Ling Tian discovered that Huaner had internal injuries, and the injuries were serious. Even the small world in her body was fragmented and crumbling. Immediately, his expression darkened, and he asked Huaner, who hurt her? Through Huaner's mouth, Duan Ling Tian also knew. Some time ago, when Huaner saw the Tiandao text announced by Tiandao, she immediately thought it was him, so she wanted to come back, but she happened to be targeted by someone at that time, and she managed to escape after a big fight. The other party is a descendant of a semi-holy power, a woman, and the reason why she attacked Huaner was because she felt that Huaner was wearing a veil to play tricks, so seeing Huaner was not pleasing to the eye. Chapter 45-74. Duan Ling Tian took out the healing elixir, gave it to Huaner, healed Huaner, and let the life god tree in Jingshi Shen Shui in his body take action, and quickly recovered most of the injury. For the rest, it takes time to recover. If you think about it, for a few months at most, you can restore Huaner to its heyday. During this process, Duan Ling Tian also discovered a mark of divine consciousness on Huaner's body. Obviously, someone used superb soul means to put a mark on Huaner's body. If Huaner is in a place outside the border, as long as the distance is a certain distance, the opponent can lock the approximate location of Huaner. He wiped it away. Huaner, the person who hurt you is someone from a semi-holy force in the outer world? After treating Huaner, Duan Lingshan's eyes were full of anger. He hadn't been this angry for a long time. The damned person hurt Huaner to such a degree. If it weren't for the layout of the god-defying beasts, which had left some life-saving cards for the descendant of Huaner, Huaner would have died without a life this time. Brother Tian, don't rush to avenge me. You have just come back, first spend time with Uncle Feng, Aunt Ro, and Sister Feier and Sister Tianwu. Huaner was as sensible as before, but the more sensible he was, the more distressed Duan Ling Tian was. It's okay, I'll take you there, and I can solve this matter within a day. With his current strength, his speed is astonishing, and it is easy to cross space. It will not take long to reach the outside world, or even cross the entire outside world. Within one day, it is enough to easily reach the other side from one side of the outer worlds. The Xuanli sect is a semi-sacred sect in the Fengshan realm, attached to the saint force, Huaiyue Tianzong. Because there is not only a semi-sage in the Xuanli sect, but also a quasi-sacred, who is only one step away from the semi-sacred, so the Xuanli sect is quite valued by the Huaiyue Tianzong. At this time, in the Xuanli sect, an old woman suddenly frowned, and then muttered to herself, "Someone actually removed the imprint of my divine sense that I left on that lowly maidservant? The one who shoots is either the invincible high-ranking god, or the strongest." She is still very confident in her means. I really didn't expect that behind her, there are such missions. I need to talk to Miss about this. Although she is not an invincible high-ranking deity, she is still a rare opponent under the invincible high-ranking deity. In addition, she has mainly studied soul means for many years, so her attainments in the soul are also extremely high. Looking at the entire outside world, she doesn't think that, under the invincible high-ranking god, there is no one who has higher attainments in the soul than her. As for 10,000 realms, there may be such an existence, but it is absolutely rare. Realizing that this matter needs to be notified, she immediately went to her family's young lady, the only daughter of the deputy head of the Xuanli sect, Guiyaola. What? Hearing the old woman's report, Guiyaola, who was a little bit pretty, couldn't help frowning slightly. Behind that woman, can there be an invincible high-ranking or supreme power? Humph. So what? Do you dare to come to our Xuanli sect to seek revenge? Guiyaola smiled coldly, her tone full of contempt. And she also has the capital to despise the other party. Although she is only the only daughter of the deputy suzerain, her father is only the existence of the first-level Xian, but her mysterious grandfather is the existence of the fourth-level Xian, and is recognized as a quasi-half in the Xuanli sect. Saint within 10,000 years, it is expected to step into the semi-holy realm. A pair of Xians, one of them is a semi-saint, and they are even attached to the Xuanli sect, a semi-saint power. Looking at the land outside the world and the world, how many people can provoke her? It's just a lowly maidservant playing tricks. Miss Ben told her not to play tricks, take off the veil and have a look, but she still ignored Miss Ben. This lady has grown up so much, this is the first time I have met someone who dares to disobey me like this. It's a pity that she was allowed to escape. There should be a strong person behind her. After all, the means she used to escape, even you can't catch up. The invincible high-ranking can't give her that thing. Of course, it may also be the life-saving means that the invincible high-ranking behind her asked other powerful people to ask for. As the daughter of the strongest, she naturally knows that many powerful have recruited invincible high-ranking gods under their command. Thinking of this, she frowned slightly, and then relaxed. Even if the strongest person behind the invincible high-ranking is strong, so what? Could it be possible that he will indirectly make an enemy of our Xuanli sect for a woman? Thinking of this, the contempt on Guo Yaole's mouth gradually turned into a sneer. Don't take it seriously at all. Whether it is Bibo Tianfu or Qingyun's sacred sect, they are all within the territory of Lei Sheng, a land outside the boundary. Duan Lingtian had only heard of Wind Saint Realm in the past, but had never been there. After this breakthrough, he had plans to take his wife Hong Yan around, at least all over the world, but he never expected that he would come to the Wind Sacred Realm in this way. Semi-holy force in the Wind Sacred Realm, the Xuanli sect. In Duan Lingshan's eyes, icy flames danced, and as soon as he thought about it, the whole body seemed to emit a cold air, giving the passers-by around a feeling that winter is coming. Certainly. Huana around her was not affected. Duan Lingtian has not lost his mind yet. So strong. The strongest? Passers-by were shocked and speculated. This is the city Huaner came to before going back, and it was outside this city that she was sniped and almost killed. The other party claimed to be the arrogance of the Xuanli sect of the semi-sacred power, who could control Huaner's life and death, and seeing that Huaner refused to talk to her, he asked his subordinates to kill her directly. Zunlaizong has an industry in this city? It's just right. Just like the last time he went to the Fu family's residence, this time Duan Lingtian did the same thing, arresting a person in charge of the Xuanli sect's industry in this city, and asked him to lead the way to the Xuanli sect. Soon, they arrived outside the Xuanli sect. The Xuanli sect is located within a stretch of mountain ranges. According to the people he arrested, the highest mountain in the middle is the main peak of the Xuanli sect. The high-level and core disciples of the Xuanli sect are all practicing on it. Snort. Duan Lingtian snorted coldly, and didn't say much nonsense. When he raised his hand, there was a palm in the air. In an instant, a grey palm print appeared on the summit of Xuanli sect master peak, like a cloud hanging from the sky, even more like a cloud that accumulates before the rainstorm. For a moment, the originally clear sky at the main peak of Xuanli sect suddenly became dark. The giant palm is in the sky, covering the sky and the sun. Boom! As Duan Lingtian thought, he pressed it. The giant palm that shrouded the void suddenly became unreal, as if the power of space was beating, folding and swaying unceasingly, like ripples. It is more like a shocking waterfall, venting down. Chapter 45-75. Everyone in the main peak of Xuanli sect was shocked. At this moment, even the weakest disciples of the Xuanli sect felt the threat of disappointment. The terrifying power shrouded in the sky made them smell like death. Boom! As soon as the commotion broke out, the palm print that covered the sky and the sun above the void roared down, and in a blink of an eye, it hit the Xuanli sect's protective array that had just risen. The Xuanli sect's protective array rose up, and the translucent resplendent mask was extremely gorgeous, with colorful streamers flickering inside and outside, as if it was indestructible. Seeing this, everyone in the Xuanli sect breathed a sigh of relief, and the sect's protective array finally stopped this terrifying force. The Zongmen sect's protective array claims to be able to block the attacks of the semi-saints for half a day. I haven't seen it before, but seeing it today, it really lives up to its reputation. Many core disciples of the Xuanli sect sighed, and at the same time felt proud of being a disciple of the Xuanli sect, and their sense of security doubled. With such terrifying power, there is a high probability that the person who comes will be a demi-saint. After making this guess, most people don't care about it anymore. It's just a half-sage, and it's not like they don't have Zunlaizong, and there is even a quasi-sage, whose strength is rare under the half-sage. Only. Soon, the smiles that had just risen on their faces froze in an instant. Just because, in their field of vision, the translucent mask raised by the guardian array only persisted for about 1 or 2 breaths, before another series of hideous and terrifying cracks appeared. The cracks spread in all directions, and in a blink of an eye, the mask was smashed like an egg with countless cracks, and then it was shattered. Boom! There was a loud noise, earth-shattering, and at the same time the Xuanli sect's protective array shattered. The aftermath of terrifying power raged and swept down, like a cataract pouring down. Boom! Rumble! In the blink of an eye, a terrifying force like dark clouds overwhelming the city swept across the main peak of Xuanli sect. Which saint are you? Why did you attack my Xuanli sect? Inside the main peak of Xuanli sect, an old and unwilling roar resounded through the heaven and earth. Immediately after seeing where the sound came from, beams of light emitted, sweeping all directions, protecting a group of people and quickly leaving the main peak. In other directions, there were also multiple figures, guarding a group of people to leave the main peak. Rumble! Rumble! A total of more than 100 people ran to the main peak, and then only heard the voices of wailing and despair coming from the main peak, but soon these voices disappeared, because the power falling from the sky like a big waterfall was about to collapse in a blink of an eye. The main peak is completely covered. After bursts of loud noises, the entire world seemed to be covered in dust. After the dust cleared, the place where the Xuanli sect master peak was originally located turned into a bottomless giant pit, like an abyss. Hiss! 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 In the surrounding areas, more than 100 people who escaped under the protection of many powerful men on the main peak, came to their senses at this time, and while their faces were pale, they couldn't help but gasp. Horrible! This is the power of a saint? Call! Call! At the same time, two figures appeared above the abyss. It was Duan Lingtian and Huaner who were brought by his side. Under Huaner's signal, Duan Lingshan's indifferent eyes fell on one of the directions. There were more than 10 people standing there. One of them was a woman. Her complexion was pale at this time, and her face was full of heart. She lowered her head and stared at the abyss fearfully, temporarily not noticing Duan Lingshan's gaze, nor did she notice Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. Your Excellency, I am the suzerain of Xuanli sect, Lu Fenghua. Even if you are a saint, my Xuanli sect is at least a semi-sacred sect under Huaihua Tianzong's command. Have you greeted Huaihua Tianzong by doing this? A tall, stern middle-aged man, Yukong, wearing a light blue robe, walked a few steps forward, looking at Duan Lingtian with fear, but he still dared to ask in a low voice. The meaning of what he said was undoubtedly bringing out Huaihua Tianzong to suppress the other party. Of course, he said it very tactfully, and he didn't dare to be too straightforward. After all, he still doesn't know the details of the other party, but judging from the destructive power of the other party's attack just now, he must be a saint. As the suzerain of the Xuanli sect, he knows nothing about the sect's protective formation of his own sect. If it weren't for a saint, it would be impossible to easily defeat the guardian formation, and even raise the main peak to the ground. Just now, the half-sage of their Xuanli sect told him through sound transmission that when faced with the opponent's power, he also felt powerless for a while, and he only had time to take some nearby elders and disciples away from the main peak. And a message to let him, and other powerful Xians, lead people away from the main peak. However, there are still a few weaker powerhouses who were wiped out along with the main peak. Almost when Lu Fenghuo's voice fell, there was a shock in the sky, dark clouds gathered, and then turned into blood clouds, lightning and thunder. A pouring rain of blood fell without warning, sweeping all directions, covering a large area around. This is exactly the phenomenon of heaven and earth caused by the death of the most powerful members of the Xuanli sect. In the land outside the boundary, many things can trigger some visions of heaven and earth, and even some people who have comprehended the laws to a certain level can also trigger impressive visions of heaven and earth. If you comprehend the law to the existence of the realm of lesser perfection, and apply the law of lesser perfection, you can manifest the vision of heaven and earth that illuminates hundreds of thousands of miles. If the Dzogchen law wants to show the vision of heaven and earth, there will even be a vision of heaven and earth that illuminates millions of miles. Of course, after comprehending the law to the state of Dzogchen, it is already back to the basics. If it is not for oneself to show the vision intentionally, the vision will basically not appear, and it is extremely restrained. It's you, the woman who almost killed me? Duan Lingtian didn't respond to Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua, and didn't even pay attention to him. If he didn't integrate into the way of swordsmanship in that blow just now, otherwise, that one blow would be enough to destroy everyone before. No one can escape. The reason why he kept his hands back was not that he was compassionate. The other party had already bullied his woman, so why should he give the other party a way out? But he didn't want the other party to die too happily. It is also because of this that the Xuanli sect master misjudged Duan Lingtian as a saint. And before Duan Lingtian spoke, Guoyaola had actually come to her senses, because the old woman behind her immediately sent a message to remind her after she recognized Huaner beside Duan Lingtian. She just looked at the woman she chased and killed some time ago, and just couldn't help frowning, when she heard the saint beside her speak. At this moment, she, who was looking at Duan Lingshan's eyes full of murderous intent, instantly changed her expression. Woman? This woman turned out to be the saint's woman? Her heart sank instantly. She knew that she had caused a catastrophe. And as Duan Lingshan's voice fell, and he noticed Duan Lingshan's eyes, all of the surviving people's eyes, including Xuanli sect master Lu Fenghua, also fell on Guoyaola. Chapter 45-76. Guoyaola, of course they know each other. The daughter of the deputy suzerain Guoyang, the second strongest of the Xuanli sect, and the great-great-great-granddaughter of the semi-sage Guolan. In Xuanli sect, Guoyaola's status is even higher than that of the suzerain's only son, the young suzerain of Xuanli sect. Because, she has a blood relationship with the quasi-half-saint. Although the Xuanli sect still has a half-sage, the relationship between the half-sage and the suzerain is not close, it is just an ordinary relationship between master and uncle. Guolan, the quasi-half-sage, was the junior of that half-sage, and was very close to that half-sage. This moment. The half-sage of Xuanli sect, Wang Tingyue, who had been silent all this time, was an old man who looked very kind, and his expression changed instantly. The young man in purple in front of him is a saint, he can be 100% sure of this. And now, according to the other party, the great-great-granddaughter of his junior brother Guolan almost killed the other party's woman? Dare to kill a saint's woman? Even if he is a half-saint, his head is not so strong. Sensing Wang Tenjiu's eyes of hating iron and steel, Guolan, who was also looking back at his great-great-granddaughter, changed his face instantly. Just now, no matter whether it was Guoyaola, the great-great-granddaughter, or his great-grandson, Guoyang, the deputy suzerain of Xuanli sect, and others, he took them away from the main peak. If he hadn't shot, these people wouldn't have been able to escape just now. Dear Saint, is there some misunderstanding? I believe, my daughter, I don't have the guts to target those around you. As Guoyaola's father, Guoyang was so scared that his face turned pale at this time. He looked at Duan Lingtian and asked with a trembling tone and soul. Misunderstand? Duan Lingtian glanced at Guoyang lightly. You are her father, the deputy lord of Xuanli sect? Is it a misunderstanding? Just ask your daughter. Hearing this, Guoyang immediately looked at his daughter, his eyes filled with deep pain and despair. He knew that his daughter would definitely not survive today. At this moment, Guoyaola also came back to her senses from a brief moment of trance, noticing the hatred eyes sweeping around her, her face became paler. It turned out to be this woman. Even the people around the saint want to kill, why doesn't she go to heaven? It's okay to be arrogant and domineering inside the sect, but how dare you do it outside? It's okay now, have you kicked the iron plate? It's a pity that so many senior brothers were killed by her. She deserves to be cut to pieces. The surviving group of elders and disciples of the Xuanli sect also hated Guoyaola very much through voice transmission. However, they were afraid of Guoyaola's grandfather Xian, the second strongest of their Xuanli sect, quasi-half-saint Guolan, so they only dared to transmit their hatred, but did not dare to speak out. However, their gazes on Guoyala were like knives and swords, wishing to crush each other to ashes. Guoyala came back to her senses, and realized the hatred of the world towards her, and even her father, grandfather Xian, who she relied on as her backer, seemed to have given up on herself at this time. Her face changed suddenly, and after a change in her gaze, she knelt down facing the direction of the young man in purple and the woman in white in front of her. "Dear sage, I offended the people around you because I had no eyes and no eyes. I also hope that the sage will have a lot of people and treat me like a fart." Guoyala's tone trembled, her fear reached the extreme, and she was so frightened that she almost lost control of herself. She never expected that a woman she hadn't taken seriously a while ago, suddenly became someone she needed to look up to and not to be provoked. Saint's woman. Is this something she can afford? She knows very well that even if there is a saint sect Huayue Tianzong above the Xuanli sect behind her, it is impossible to have a grudge with a saint because of her. What's more, if there is a strong person present on Huayue Tianzong's side now, knowing that she has brought such a disaster to Zunlaizong, they may directly kill her, and express Huayue Tianzong's respect for this in front of the saint in front of him. Attitude towards the matter. However, when he noticed the murderous intent rising in Duan Lingshan's eyes, Guoyala also seemed to realize that the other party could not let her off. When she was in despair, she quickly turned around and kowtowed to her father and grandfather Xian. "Father, grandfather Xian, save me. Help me. Behind our Xuanli sect is the Huayue Tianzong, and the Huayue Tianzong also has saints. You can save me. You can save me." At the critical moment of life and death, Guoyala seemed to have grasped the last straw, begging her father and grandfather Xian hard. At this moment, she almost lost her mind. Guoyang and Guolan's expressions completely changed when they heard Guoyala's words. "Damn girl, haven't you understood the current situation? The other party obviously wants her life. She is like this now, is she trying to harm them, Xian Lizong?" After knowing what Guoyala had done, facing the powerful saints not far away, whether it was Guolan or Guoyang, his biological father, they had actually given up on Guoyala. Laugh. With a sneer, a terrifying force of space suddenly appeared around Guoyang and Guolan. When Guolan's face changed drastically and Guoyang didn't notice, their bodies and souls exploded without warning. The rain of blood scattered all over the sky, splashing Guoyala's face. "Huayue Tianzong?" Duan Lingtian smiled coldly. "Today, in front of me, Duan Lingtian, not to mention the Huayue Tianzong, even if all the saints in the Wind Sacred Realm join forces, they will not be able to protect you." As soon as Duan Lingtian said this, the dissatisfaction with Xuanli sect semi-sage Wang Tingyue, who had just been dissatisfied because of his junior brother Guolan's killing, disappeared in an instant. When looking at Duan Lingtian again, the pair of childish eyes stared round, and subconsciously asked in a trembling voice, You are Lord Duan Lingtian? He's numb. Never thought that the strong man Guoyala provoked would be such an existence. I thought it was a saint, but I didn't expect it to be a more terrifying Buddha. Beyond the existence of saints. Following Wang Tenjia's outrageous questioning, the people present at the Xuanli sect also came back to their senses after a short period of silence, and their faces were pale with shock. Lu Fenghua, the head of the Xuanli sect, felt powerless in his heart. After knowing who the opponent was, he knew very well that even if the opponent wiped out the entire Xuanli sect, Huayue Tianzong would not be able to stand up for the Xuanli sect. Lord Duan Lingtian. He is the second strong man who surpassed the saint. Duan Lingtian? A powerhouse beyond a saint who is as famous as Feng Qingyang? Guoyala, a bitch, dares to provoke people around Lord Duan Lingtian? He also dragged down our Xuanli sect. He deserves death. Everyone in the Xuanli sect was shocked by Duan Lingshan's identity, and at the same time cursed Guoyala one after another. Now, Guiyaole's two major backers are gone, and they have no worries. Boom! 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 Suddenly, Lu Fenghua, the suzerain of Xuanli sect, struck like lightning, killing the old woman beside Guiyaole, and all other people of Guiyaole's lineage. Guiyaole was left alone. Lord Duan Lingtian, I, Lu Fenghua, as the head of the Xuanli sect, hereby announce that Guiyaole will be expelled from the Xuanli sect. From this moment on, Guiyaole will no longer be a disciple of my Xuanli sect. Because I don't know if you want to kill her yourself, my lord, so I didn't touch her. If your lord wants me to do it for you, I will make her leave the world in the most painful way. Lu Fenghuo's tone was full of hatred. A woman killed so many people in their Xuanli sect. Even if he cut him into pieces, the hatred in his heart would not be quenched. Chapter 45-77. For Duan Lingshan's identity, Lu Fenghua had no doubts. What a joke! In today's world, which saint doesn't know how terrible Duan Lingtian is? Who dares to impersonate him? Are you courting death? Moreover, Duan Lingshan's method of killing Guiyang and Guolan just now was mysterious and unpredictable. He exchanged a few words with Tingyue, the semi-sage king of Xuanli sect. Even if it was the other party, he didn't notice Duan Lingshan's attack. According to Wang Tenjia's words, even if the saint made a move, he would not be unaware of it. It can be seen that this young man in purple is undoubtedly Duan Lingtian. Phantom. Duan Lingtian ignored Lu Fenghua, but looked at Huaner beside him. His eyes were full of tenderness. How do you want to deal with her? Before Huaner could speak, Guiyaole on the other side seemed to have regained some sense, and growled, "Why are you imprisoning me? I don't want to die." After hearing Lu Fenghuo's statement in front of Duan Lingtian, Guiyaole also realized that she would definitely die today, and immediately planned to commit suicide, fearing that she would suffer all kinds of torture if she didn't die, so she might as well give herself a happy one. However, she soon discovered that there was a force covering her body, suppressing her power, imprisoning her body 9 out of 10, making it difficult for her to commit suicide. The tongue is not imprisoned and can speak, but she is still a god. Even if she bites off her tongue, it is only a minor injury, and it is impossible to die. Brother Tian, you can deal with it as you see fit. Huaner responded to Duan Lingtian softly with a look of husband and wife. Good. Duan Lingtian nodded, then looked at Lu Fenghua, and said calmly, "In that case, I will leave it to you." He felt that Lu Fenghua would be more intimate to send Guiyaole a ride than him doing it himself. "I'll give you 1 month, within 1 month she must die. If she is not dead by then, I will come to Zunlizong to look for you again." After finishing the words, he swept out his consciousness and extracted a wisp of Guiyaole's soul breath to judge whether she was really killed by Lu Fenghua behind her. Although, he couldn't see that Lu Fenghuo's statement just now was a fraudulent element, but he didn't fully trust the other party either. Now, extracting a ray of Guiyaole's soul breath is enough to confirm whether Lu Fenghua will really kill Guiyaole as he said. "Lord Duan Lingtian, don't worry." When Lu Fenghua faced Duan Lingtian, he was very respectful. Halfway through the speech, he glanced at Guiyaole, who showed despair, and then continued, "I will definitely send her on the road." Lu Fenghua bit down on the word good very hard. For this person who killed so many people in their Xuanli sect, and even killed the 2 most powerful members of the Xuanli sect, he only wished to cut him into pieces. Duan Lingtian greeted Huaner and took Huaner away. This time, it is not without other gains. Although Guiyang and Guolan's rings have self-destructed, Guolan, a quasi-half-saint, still left behind a supreme godhead. Previously, Duan Lingtian killed 2 semi-sages of the Fu family, and also obtained 2 supreme godheads. As for Guiyang, and the red demon who died in his hands not long ago, because his strength was too weak and his comprehension of the law was too shallow, so that he did not condense the supreme godhead at all. The godhead of the strongest is of little use to him now. However, for his family, it is a rare treasure. He intends to divide the Supreme Being's godhead after he settles his family. Of course, it will not be enough for the time being, but he can find someone to borrow it. Not many people died in his hands who condensed the Supreme Godhead, so there are not many Supreme Godheads in his hands. However, it can be borrowed from other semi-saints and saints. Of course, he didn't intend to borrow from someone he didn't know well, and he owed them favors for nothing. You can borrow it from the 2 saints of the Qingyun sacred sect. I think they will not refuse. After all, I kept my hands on them earlier. Duan Lingtian secretly thought. In addition, he can also borrow it from a few half-step world venerables including Xiao Mubai in the Nishan realm, or he can borrow it from Xiao Tianxi, the master of the Golden Dragon Palace in Bibo Tianfu in the Thunder Sacred Realm outside the realm. The godhead of the strongest person is not only able to be borne by half-saints, even some weaker strongest people can also be condensed. Those who comprehend the law to a certain degree of perfection can condense the Supreme Godhead, and if they get it, they can use the law of evolution. In the past, a large part of the reason why Duan Lingshan's space law was so fast was that he had the Supreme Godhead left behind after the death of the Supreme Being who was good at space law. I hope Lu Fenghua won't disappoint me. Otherwise, I don't mind sending him on the road in a month. Guoyala bullied Huaner, and he didn't want him to die too happily, so he planned to use Lu Fenghuo's hand to send Guoyala on the road. Now, he has extracted a wisp of Guoyala's soul breath. As long as the other party dies, he will be able to sense it immediately. Not afraid that Lu Fenghua would secretly let Guoyala go. What's more, when he left Guoyala's soul breath, he also left a soul imprint on Guoyala's body. As long as the other party appeared in the same world as him, or in a place outside the world, he could be the first time is aware of the imprint of the soul, so as to quickly confirm the location of the other party. Taking Huaner back to the secular plane where his family and friends are, Duan Lingtian left behind a clone of the law, waiting for the rest of his family and friends to return. His family, relatives and friends in the secular plane all entered the small world inside his body and were taken away by him. Lord Xiao. Duan Lingtian went to find Xiao Mubai and explained his purpose. Lord Duan Lingtian, you are willing to set aside part of the small world in your body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm, which is naturally a great thing for the god-defying realm. In this way, the protective formation of the god-defying realm will become even more unbreakable. How about? My lord, you have family members in the land of the gods, and I will ask the owner of the land of the gods to transfer everything in the land of the gods, except his sacred tree of life, to the small world in your body. How about making the small world in your body a new place of God's legacy? Of course, if you don't want to keep the name of the land of the gods, but you want to change the name of the small world in your body that you set aside to serve as the plane of the gods, that's fine. Xiao Mubai said. For Xiao Mubai's respect for him, Duan Lingtian is actually not used to it. After all, this person has helped him a lot in the past, and he accepts the other party's love. However, the other party was still unwilling to change his words, and he still couldn't let go, and he couldn't help it. There is no need to change the name, just continue to call it Land of the Gods. Duan Lingtian shook his head and said. At the same time, I also feel that Xiao Mubai has arranged a place for him, so that the Xia family behind Kir will also be moved to the small world in his body that he left behind. Chapter 45-78. Separating a part of the small world in the body as the plane of the gods in the god-defying realm will not have much impact on Duan Lingtian himself. He was even able to use this part of the small world in his body that was separated to make the small world in his body unique, teleporting back to the god-defying realm from the outside. It is impossible to divide a part of the small world in the body at ordinary times. Because, after being separated, it is like a rootless duckweed, which cannot last for too long. Unlike after becoming the plane of the gods of the Nishan realm, which is connected to the Nishan realm, it can exist stably by absorbing the power of the realm of the Nishan realm. There is a gap between each realm of the 10,000 realms, and the same goes for the land outside the realm. There is no way to send a message across borders. Duan Ling Tian had to tear apart the space before returning to the God-defying realm, and it would take a while, even if it wasn't for a long time, he couldn't come back in an instant. And once the small world in his body becomes one of the eyes of the great formation of the God-defying realm, he can come back at any time. It can also be regarded as guarding family, relatives and friends in disguise, guarding against the God realm. Even if his true self is outside, there is no need to worry too much. Come back anytime. I asked several other senior world masters to come and help. After all, it is not a small project to transfer everything in the land of the gods to the small world in your body. Xiao Mubai said. Good. Duan Ling Tian nodded in response. After parting from Xiao Mubai, he went to the Xia family, the land left by the gods, and found Xia Jia, the third master of the Xia family, and Xiao Yu, the head of the Xia family, and talked about it. On the Xia family's side, even the most powerful man in the back is very supportive of moving the family to Duan Lingshan's inner world. After all, this is an existence beyond the world venerable. For the Xia family, in fact, as long as they are in the plane of the gods, the small world in anyone's body is similar, but if they can go to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body, it is naturally a great thing. Xiao Tian. Xia Jia, unlike his elder brother Xia Yu, became a little more uneasy in front of Duan Ling Tian after Duan Ling Tian became stronger, and he was as casual as before. For this matter, he also began to help Duan Ling Tian analyze. If the news that everything on the land of the gods has migrated to the small world in your body spreads, I am afraid that people from other planes of the gods will rush to the land of the gods. After all, the plane of the gods that transcends the small world inside the saint's body is too attractive to people who don't care much about other planes of the gods. So, I suggest that even if the land of the gods is to be migrated, it is best not to reveal too much information, and it is best not to let people know that it is migrating to the small world inside your body. Xia Jia said. Before Duan Ling Tian opened his mouth, Xia Yu also nodded and agreed. This matter is really not a small problem. Although there are more people in the land of the gods, it's nothing, but it's not a good thing for other gods. At that time, the planes of the gods will probably be extremely unbalanced. Hearing Xia Jia and Xia Ye's words, Duan Ling Tian pondered for a while, and felt that this matter was no small matter. Once people from other planes of the gods get together and run to the land of the gods, it will have little impact on him, but it will have a great impact on other planes of the gods. First of all kinds of transactions, that is, the economy may stagnate a lot. The population loss is too serious, which is an inevitable consequence. Let me talk to World Master Xiao. Duan Ling Tian contacted Xiao Mubai immediately, and relayed Xia Jia's words. When Xiao Mubai heard Xia Jia's words, his tone became a lot more dignified, and he felt that what he said made sense. It's best not to make public the small world in whose body the land of the gods was migrated to. Just talking about migrating to the Nishan realm, the small world inside the body of another supreme power will do. In this way, this matter will be resolved. Next, under the auspices and arrangements of Xiao Mubai and other semi-holy world lords, the original land of the gods began to migrate while leaving the big formation of the realm. And the small part of the small world in the body that Duan Ling Tian allocated, while merging with the large formation of the anti-god realm, accepts the migration from the land of the gods at the same time. The original land of the gods, except for the place where the tree of life is located, the rest of the place was completely leveled, and everything was completely migrated to the small world in Duan Lingshan's body. Even the people inside are together. The whole process went very smoothly and did not cause much panic. After all, for everyone on the land of the gods, this doesn't have much impact on them, it's just a change of plane, and everything they have has not disappeared. In order for the land of the gods to migrate perfectly, the small world in Duan Lingshan's body is the same as the original land of the gods. There was a small episode in the middle, that is, the original owner of the gods' remains land, a powerhouse against the god realm, decided to take root in a new god's remains land after knowing that the god's remains land would be migrated to Duan Lingshan's internal small world. Zhong Lipai fulfills the wishes of the past. Back then, he had the wish to establish a sect, but before he realized it, he was arrested by Xiao Mubai like a strong man, and he was arrested to dominate a plane of gods. In half a month, half of the land left by the gods was successfully migrated. At this time, Duan Lingshan's master, Feng Qingyang, also returned from the outside world. In half a month, not only all the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the outer realm were found, but even the new entrances of the Tongtian Tower in the upper 3 realms and the middle 18 realms were found. At this time, it doesn't make sense for him to continue guarding the Tongtian Tower. After returning, Feng Qingyang found out about the migration of the land of the gods, and joined the helping army for a while, so that the land of the gods successfully completed the migration within the next half-month. It is naturally much more efficient for an existence above a saint to help. In less than a month, the migration to the land of the gods was completed. The branches of the godly tree of life should be planted in Xia's house. Because it is a small world separated from the body, there is no tree of life there, and the plane of the gods is in the world of the gods, so they need to rely on the power of the tree of life and the realm of the world of the gods to resonate, so as to protect the gods together. Therefore, Duan Lingtian made a branch of the divine tree of life, and planted it in the small world within the body that was separated. That is, in the new land of the gods. Wow! Crash! The branches of the godly tree of life took root in Xia's family, and in just a few days, it grew into a towering tree. After Duan Lingtian stepped into the strongest 7th stage, the divine tree of life, which was a small world in his body, also experienced many transformations and became extremely powerful. Therefore, in just a few days, it allowed its clone in the new land of the gods to grow up to the point where it was not weaker than the tree of life in the body of ordinary superpowers. Since then, the new land of the gods has been on the right track. And everyone on this land was only surprised for a few days before adapting to the unchanged surrounding environment, and even once mistakenly thought that they had never left the original land of the gods. Died? On this day, Duan Lingtian, who was discussing the 4 ways of the world with Xiao Mubai, suddenly frowned, and the ray of soul breath he had drawn in the past dissipated. That Lu Fenghua, it seems that he really hates that woman. It actually tortured her for a whole month. Guoyaola, the woman who almost killed Huaner not long ago, died. You're tuning into the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.